Hey everybody, welcome into another stream. We're going to be working on the save system today. I should probably make sure. Okay, yeah, good. Never mind. Hey yo, hey Blub. I did something yesterday. Well, I did a couple of things yesterday, but one of them is I made the customers actually look like the Super Retro World customer graphics. So now the customers have their proper walk animations, and if I just add a bunch of them, you can see all the different varieties. We'll probably change some of these. Like this one, where is it? One of these looks kind of like a warrior. I don't know where it went. That one, the blue one. Yeah. So like maybe some of these would be confusing, but I think it looks a little bit better this way. I think we need to cut out the $100 thing or make it smaller or put an outline on it or something. Hey, Smooth. But yeah, that was one of the things I worked on. I think I also cleaned up whatever I was doing yesterday. Oh yeah, there was some code that I had left uncommitted. But I don't think I worked on a lot code-wise yesterday. I think I was doing some other stuff. Let me see what the last few commits are. Timed effect, customer graphics, multiple procs, finding affordable items. And then this is, no, that was later too. Whoops. Okay, I guess I did a few things. Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, like I said, today is about making the save system. And I'm gonna cut some corners here. So when you think of everything we have to save, it's adventurers, it's whatever items are in town, maybe customers, I don't know. But then there's all other stuff like what battles are going on. We're not doing this yet. There's not a big enough reason for checkpoint number 2 to save everything. I just want to save the big stuff so that if you wanted to play for half an hour and then stop and come back to it, you could. What that means is if you get into a battle and you leave the game, then you won't have that battle when you come back. But right now there's no cost to entering a battle, so it shouldn't really matter. But yeah, in the future, we gotta save pretty much everything. So there are a couple things we gotta learn so that we can do this. And just kind of figure this out. So saving. Let's start by putting this in it's already in progress. And this is one of the earliest tasks I created. It's task number 13, saving. So figure out what format we want to save to. I think JSON is fine. I don't care about making the file secure or anything like that. I also don't know if we need to bundle a database or something in. I feel like it's all probably just overkill for now. And then figure out how we'll save any single thing from C#. I know there are like serializable interfaces / helpers. Do we want to use those? And then save the following. All right, adventurers and their stats. Items that are in the storeroom. The shop states. How many item displays you have. And how many quests are available. Quest state, like which quests are done. We don't have that yet, so we can't really do that. How many item displays are in the storeroom. When loading, make sure prices are set correctly. When coming back, the storeroom cost, the adventurer cost, etc. Yeah. This is the kind of thing where if you code it early on, you're going to be adding work for every feature you do, and you don't know if you're going to be keeping features, but then you won't run into a problem later on. And now that we're adding it later on, we know exactly what we want it for, but now we have to add it everywhere. So let's look at C# JSON. Yeah, serialize. I think we do some of this in Jump Royale, actually. Oops, it's capital J for my Jump Royale repo. Lowercase j for my journal. Why is that not working? What's going on? Did I not press capital J? There we go. All right, let's search for JSON. What is this? Okay, sure. I mean, there's got to be JSON stuff elsewhere. Oh, it just doesn't have to be in the file name. I always use that search for everything. Players.json. Read all text, deserialize. Okay, some of this stuff might come in handy. I could have sworn... Don't you have to annotate that something can be null? Is it player data that we want? JSON ignore. I guess it knows how to turn data classes like this into JSON properties. I don't know if we're going to be doing that anyway, though. And then what do we do here? Load everything. If the file doesn't exist, return, read all text. What is the stats file path? Can I figure out what that is from here? Who knows? Let's go find Jump Royale. All right. What are you? Full path? Oh, this is for tests. Globalized path, resource path, constants, player, path to player stats. All right. Let's look at that. And there it is. Res, save data, players. Yeah. Cool. So I want something here, something from this code. Hang on one second. Okay. Can I custom names with IIRC, JSON property name, and there are other customizable things that leaving properties without annotation should work. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and then the question is just, do I need to do any other transformations? Because we might want like a proper serialized function and only take certain things that we want to persist. I would need to look at, I don't know, there are a couple ways we could do this. One is we could have something that just serializes every single component, although some of these need to point to nodes. Like this is all just straight up values. This shouldn't be a problem. Oh, and then once we have the save system, we got to be careful about changing enums. We may want a version in the save system since we have enum values that get persisted, and they may mean different things if we shift the numbers around. Yeah. Anything public gets serialized automatically. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Good to know. So let's go take all of this. So this is loading. This is what we had before. And then the path was path to player stats. I mean, this, yeah, fine, I'll just get this anyway, but this is not very hard to come up with. And literally it's just this in the one file that we have. Here's the path to the JSON file. All right, yeah, so JSON is fine. Figure out how we'll save any single thing. So let's go to game constants. We'll put that in first. This path to file. Just copy paste this. It's not really a game constant, I guess. Do we have any other kind of constants? Game constants. I mean, I'll probably put it here. I think organizing your constants by file is important. I don't know what you would even call this kind of constant. Like a, I don't know. Doesn't really matter right now, though. All right, so path to save file. When this gets distributed, where does this save? I don't know. Save.json. We could put it in the root. Yeah, that's fine. All right, now what's the problem with this? It's got to go in a different thing. Yeah. Can you? Nope, you can't do that. Okay. So should appear before non-constant fields. Put this up here. Probably after all that stuff. Cool. So that's a path to the file. All right, let's get something very, very basic to save here. And I guess to load as well. So the first thing we're going to need to do is make save buttons. UI debug. So here we have unhandled input. I want to make it just so that pressing like F1 and F2 will save and load. And that way we can test this out. So we're going to throw this into town for right now. Eventually we need the UI for this. I don't care about that yet. So do we have any input handling stuff here? Yes, we do. Okay, so let's just add in a new thing. If input dot is pressed, there's no is key just pressed. I don't want to make actions for this. Let's reuse an action then. We must have something, right? Input map. All right, what have we got here? Left, right, up, down. Page up and page down. I mean, that could work. Or home and end. Yeah, let's use home and end. They're not used for anything else right now. And like I said, this is temporary anyway. It's not like we're going to keep this. UI home, UI end. Yeah, neither one is used. So let's use home and end. What makes more sense? Home to load, end to save. So home will be load. gg.print loading from the save file. And end saving to disk. Now, as long as we're at it, let's also create floating text so that we can see it right there in Godot. Yeah. I'm blanking out for a second there. All right, so string message equals that. Then just print out the message. Message. Good. All right, text turns to message. Vector, I don't really care where this is. Color can be wherever. Colors dot, sure, blue, I don't care. Oh, actually, we should probably pick two different colors so that it's clear. What's different enough from blue? Corn silk. I don't know what these colors even are. Dark salmon, sure. All right, UI message. We looking good here? Yeah, I think we're looking good. All right, so we haven't actually made anything work, but whatever. Let's test as we go here. So home loads and saves. And it's not like I have any data that's important to not overwrite. So loading from the save file and saving to disk. That is blue. Alice blue is white. That's not blue. I want it to be blue. Hey, 3D extended. Yeah, me too. All right, blue violet there. Okay, so these are going to be our load and save functions. And now we need to actually try saving something. So we're going to... I want this to be in a different file altogether. So where should this go? State, towns, types. Maybe I make like a save and load. I think you could just go into towns for right now. Yeah, we'll make like a game save. Naming is failing me. Game saver. Loader. It's so stupid. All right, whatever. I'm gonna call it game saver. This is really dumb. Hey, Phil. Good morning to you. All right, there's our wonderfully named class. Let's copy in a different class. Actually, let's copy in item display functions because that's in the same general area. Yeah, so this will be called game saver. Probably a stupid name. And then delete this stuff. Keep that one. We'll make a void save and take in the town. And then do something like gg.print saved the game. Now that can be another floating text just so we can tell if there are errors. Yeah, lifesaver, save life. Hey, Patrick. So this will put in the town. This will do the same thing. String message equals game saved. Sure. That sounds good. What's a color that's not blue or salmon? Just keep scrolling through here till we find something pretty good. Gainsborough. Like, what are these color names? I don't know what this is. All right, whatever. Let's have it be Gainsborough. Sure. All right, now we just call save from over here. I guess I could have done this differently. Gamesaver.save this. And yeah, I guess this stuff can move as well. Nice. We'll need to make a game loader at some point as well. town message. There. So now there's actually to do, right, the save logic here. A wink. We've tested nothing. I don't even know why I'm running this. Who cares? All right, game saved, and then it presumably said saved the game underneath it. I guess that's the problem with having two sets of floating text there. So I guess we don't need to announce that we're saving. And I guess this could just be dark salmon. So fine. All right, let's start with something simple. Let's just produce a file. So we have that text. Wait, this is load player data. Where's save? JSON serializer.serialize. Yeah, so this is what I want. I'll copy you over to here. JSON string. What is JSON serializer? JSON serializer. Is that like a well-known C# class? Hey, Poolbox. It's quite the raid message in the media. Show us the game. Thanks for the raid. I mean, sure, I'll show you the game. I would have done this anyway, even if you hadn't spammed me with show us the game. Your 2 whole messages. I'm working on Skeleseller, and right now we're working on the save system, but we don't actually have it yet. But this is a game where you run a town, and you hire adventurers to do battle for you. And when they win those battles, which I'll just kind of force here, you get items in your storeroom, and then your adventurers and workers can go and stock it into the shops, and customers, as shown with this money amount above their head, can go and purchase that. And then with the money you get, you can hire more adventurers, you can level up your adventurers, you eventually get into, here, let me just grant everything. You eventually get into bigger battles, you can put skill points into your different adventurers that you have. Battles are automated, the characters themselves are pretty much automated. So you're controlling like sort of very little in the game. It's from system.text.json. Yeah, cool. But yeah, I've been working on this now for whatever, 24 stream days. And I'm hoping to launch by the end of the year. But things are going well. Welcome in. What do you stream, Fullbox? I'm guessing game dev, if you instructed your audience to do this. Newton's off. Almost everyone uses this or versions up. I don't know if I even need anything extra though, because I think most of the work here is going to be done by my own code. But yeah, welcome in everybody. Let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, we're working on the save system. It's currently about 9 o'clock. At 11, I'm going to be switching into career mentoring with Peter, 3D extended. And this is going to be, I think, the first session number 7. No, it's session number 6. Yeah. So I've done a bunch of sessions with my mentees already, and this is session number 6 with Peter. Automation puzzle game. Getting ready to showcase the game at Comic-Con. Oh, nice. Awesome. I hope it goes well. Yeah. And thanks, NanoDev. Looks cool so far. Yeah, I have a ton of notes. In fact, if you go to notes.adamlearns.com, I've got, most of them are publicly available, and there's just a boatload of them. You can go through practically any of these things and see them all. But I have also private notes, and one of them was called Game Ideas. And on stream one day, I went through a lot of them, and I was just like, okay, which ones seem like they're worth pursuing? Because it's one thing to just keep track of all your game ideas, and it's another to say, someday I want to make these and not just have them in my head as some like, well, I'll get there in the future. So yeah, thanks, Leptis. Yeah, sure, you can share a link, Poolbox, yeah. Block shop. Let's take a look. I'm going to keep this muted though. Poolbox Studio. That's how you know it's the same person. I'm probably losing out on some of the effect of this by not having audio on. So there might be a voice over here saying what's going on, but it looks neat. And I like that the puzzles are all pretty small in terms of screen space, so that I guess the puzzle can take the focus and not, you know, the massive amount of scrolling around and stuff. Cool. Yeah, I hope it goes well at Comic-Con. What did you make it in? I wonder if it says on Steam. I don't know if there's a... No, I don't see it here. Godot. Okay, cool. Yeah. Out of curiosity, are you planning on launching it for more than just Windows? Because I think it would be trivially easy for you to get a Linux version at the very least. And then Mac might be a little bit harder, but yeah, I think you could just export to Linux. I mean, that's what I did for this game. I happen to be working on a Mac, so getting it working on a Mac is also easier. I think that might be harder if you're on Windows. Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Because I was gonna say, if everything is a cost of benefit, it's like, okay, I would like to have $1 million advertising budget if I could afford it. That would probably be good, but most people can't do that. And it's like, yeah, exporting to Linux should be a pretty easy win. The Mac build might also kind of be the same way. I don't know how many gamers are on Mac and expect Steam to have Mac games, because I think typically there just aren't. Yeah, I think Yeah, I think on Mac it's that you need to sign and notarize the application, which I think requires an Apple development subscription, which is like $100 a year. But then also I think you need Xcode to do it, which probably means you need an actual Mac. But yeah, hope it goes well. Yeah, mobile. This seems like it'd be very suitable for mobile, given the puzzle size. I think this game would be the gameplay would make sense on mobile. I have no idea how I'd convert the UI to be on mobile, because so much of this is like you can start 3 battles at once and they just take place at the bottom of the screen. On mobile, like, where would this go? Where would we put this? How would you see the battles? The rest of this, like, you could turn all of this stuff into mobile UI, but I don't know what we do about just the main gameplay. But whatever, that's based on whether the game is even successful. I think we'll do that. Okay, so I wanted to copy in. Did I copy this? Yeah, this. I want to take a look at this. Consider using this library. I want to see what it even does. I don't know what it would even provide for me over the built-in stuff. Super swipe simulator. I mean, it might be. To move their phone around. Can you imagine how annoying that would be after like 1 or 2 battles? Yeah, yeah. When you have a game that you plan on working on different platforms from the beginning, I think it's good. I think my plan for this was always like, it's just going to be a desktop game. And if that happens to work, then switch it to mobile. I know people do this with all sorts of different decisions, like single player. If it happens to work there, let's make a multiplayer thing. That I think is much harder to do. The mobile transition, I think for us would pretty much just be like figure out UI that makes sense. And it would be an undertaking. It's not like it's trivial, but I think it would be with the understanding that it already did well on desktop, so now it's worth putting in that time. Unless you want a specific feature, since it's improved a lot. Okay, yeah. Let me write that down. Okay, so where did I leave off with this? We were looking at this code. Well, we were looking at the save code. Where'd the save code go? I don't know. I think I might have already copy pasted it. Yeah, I did. All right, so JSON serializer, we just need to import. And we're serializing player data. So this will just be, let's just say hello world. Again, I'm just getting this set up one step at a time here. Now we need the file path that was in game constants. Here it is, path to save file. All right, string file path equals game constants. Put that here. If it's null or if the length is 0, I mean, this isn't really possible because why was this even done in Jump Royale? RG stats file path? How could this be null? All right, let's just open up all of Jump Royale. Yeah, take care, Full Box. Thanks for the raid. Again, good luck. Hope you enjoyed Comic-Con too. I mean, it's not just about the game, right? When is Comic-Con? 2024, July 25th to 28th. Okay, yeah, so about 3 weeks. Yeah, enjoy your food. So let's load this whole thing up. And, oh, it's Montreal. Oh, might have been a different thing then. It's this weekend. Okay, got it. I looked at the San Diego one, apparently. All right, well, cool. That's pretty soon. You got 2 days. And I guess happy belated Canada Day. with this stats file path. Yeah, so why project settings.globalize path? That's what we need. What does this do? It returns the absolute native OS path corresponding to the localized path. The return path will vary depending on the operating system. Oh, with res will not work in an exported project. Instead, prepend the executable's base directory to the path. Oh, ooh, it's a good thing I read that. Project settings dot, what's it called? Globalized path. That means we need another task here at some point. Clean up stuff. So file a task to test saving and loading with the exported project. All right, I just wanted to read this in a way that wasn't in that tiny tooltip over there. So here it is. Returns native path corresponding to localized path. It will not work in an exported project. Instead, prepend the executable's base directory to the path when running from an exported project. We do os get executable path, get baster, path join hello.txt. Okay, sure, whatever. Sounds good to me. Let's copy paste this in, even though it's not C#. So we need some shared thing. For now, we don't need to make anything shared. Let's just do this. Public static string get save file path. Okay, so string path if os.has feature editor. It should just know how to fill this in. Yeah, there we go. This is what's great about Copilot. You can copy in a different language and it'll just turn it into the current language. So res/save, this actually isn't what I wanted here, but that's fine. It's res/save data/save. That way at least it's not at the root and we can ignore that whole thing, the whole folder, which I probably need to do. I'll write that up here too and clean up. Ignore the save file. Okay, otherwise get executable path, get baster, path.join, save.json. Maybe we should make a save file name. Save file name is going to be save.json, and path to save file is going to be that. Yeah. That way it can have the same name regardless of the, where'd that go? Game saver, regardless of whether we're in the editor or not. This is a mess right now. Let's cut some of this out. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. All right, this will go here. Game constants. What is the problem here? Not returning the string? Oh, that's the problem. There we go. All right, so the proper path is going to be the full thing. How do you, there's a path join. What is this on? It's on a string? String has path join? Really? This assumes you need forward slashes though, which I think actually is OS independent through Godot because of how they do their paths. Okay, sure. Then yeah, we can do this. String full path equals game constants dot path to save file dot path join game constants dot save file name. Yeah, looks good. Cool. So let's get save file path. Can this fail? Get baster. No. Can this fail? On Mac OS, always use godot.os.create instance instead of relying on the executable path. What? Yeah, what? Create instance. What does this do? Create a new instance of Godot that runs independently? What? You would need it. What? That makes no sense. Yeah, that makes no sense. Get executable path. Why would you need to create a new instance of Godot for this to work on Mac? And why is that like a footnote? If I hadn't Mac OS. Create instance. They don't even mention this on here. Oh, this is Stack Overflow. Well, this was 2023. Hey, welcome back in. You're the only person who ever chats on YouTube anymore. I don't see. I want to find the official documentation for this. File paths. Here we go. Does this talk about Mac? 819. Self-contained mode. They don't even mention this. What? Oh, thanks for the bits. That is very kind of you. Yeah, I am quite confused about this. This was not supposed to be the hard part of any of this. They don't even, oh, I guess it's get executable path like that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah. Hope chat is doing well too. I'm so confused by this. Why would they say this? Always use create instance. The arguments are used in a given order and separated by a space. If it succeeds, return the new process ID. All right, here's what it sounds like. It sounds like I need to do create instance for what reason, I don't know, and then immediately kill the resulting Godot process. Hey, Bigfoot is real. How was your day? I mean, I'm just getting started. It's pretty early in my day. It's 9 a.m. So the day's going well so far. But to say how was the day, I have not been awake for that long. And yeah, the keyboard is a corn keyboard. All right, I don't like this. I don't get this. I want to look this up. Godot create instance Mac OS. Do other people comment on this? Is this even? This isn't it. And unfortunately, the instance stuff is instantiating scenes that it's talking about here. It's supposed to help you out code faster, right? I wouldn't say it necessarily helps you code faster, although I guess it could. The main reason I think people get keyboards like this is there is very little finger travel between the keys. So I only need to move my finger at most 1 unit away from wherever it is. And that's true for all my fingers. And in that sense, maybe you're coding faster because if you ever need the arrow keys, you're not moving your entire hand and then moving it back. I don't have any screens on this though now. Where's F12 on my keyboard? I have the key map in this link. So if you look at the key map, you can see the just general shape of these lines kind of matches the keyboard. So there's 5 keys and then 5 keys and then 5 keys and then 3 thumb keys. So my F12 key is right there on my pinky in the function layer. So I have to hold this MO fun, that's this key, and then press F12, that's this key. And it opened up DevTools. Bigfoot, please try to avoid segmenting in chat. Also, I'm not totally sure what you're saying. In 60% keywords, how would the key be if it's 60%? I'm not sure what you're asking. But the key map for this is something you can customize yourself. I want to just not trust this thing that's written here. I'm going to just test this out. Yeah, you do kind of have to rewrite your entire brain. It's not something you just switch to and you're good within a couple hours. You're now thinking in layers as you type. So these keys that I'm pressing now are letters and occasionally a punctuation mark, but now I hold this key and now they're just numbers. And now I hold this key and I'd be pressing on function keys or something. So yeah, it's a different way of thinking, but once you've gotten used to it, it's pretty nice. The perfect letter. Lepchus. What should I avoid? Read this message. It's the segmenting message. Please don't send many small messages at once. Just send them as one large message. It looks fast and accurate with experience. Yeah, but then again, so would even just a regular keyboard, right? I mean, if you're looking at anyone who's professionally typing all day. All right, so we're gonna not do this. We're gonna just test this out. Yeah, and I'll put a link to this documentation right here. Yeah, and I'll say on Mac, it may work strangely because of this note, but I couldn't find any resources online saying why it has to be done that way. Maybe it just works. That's, yeah. No worries, Bigfoot. And you wouldn't know until I tell you about it. So yeah, that's just a rule of this. It was added here, so it's probably just if you spawn editor copies. Spawn editor copies. Modify create project to detect and run app bundles. App window is registered and activated correctly. This doesn't sound like it was added for the sake of... Oh my God. Okay, I see what they're saying. They're saying if you're trying to get the executable path so you can run the executable, then use create instance. But they wrote it here as instead. Okay, this is essentially a documentation bug. I'm gonna write this down as like a nice thing that hopefully I can do later, which is fix the documentation here. It says not to rely on the path, but that's only if you're going to use the path to try to launch the editor. And then this is the commit where the documentation was changed. Yeah, there. All right, thank you, Yo. That's really, really nice of you. I appreciate that. Let's just, we could maybe figure out what this was supposed to be, but I'm guessing. Well, actually, Leptius is the kind of thoughtful person who might have actually made it a real message and just typed out P's instead. Although this proves that the keyboard has a space as well. Why does it matter? I have a bunch of reasons why. There are a few. One is you may change your thought process before finishing the message. Two is it spams chat for everyone and bumps other people's messages up. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff on other platforms. It might make a noise. You might highlight many messages. Responding to messages is a little bit harder. There's a bunch of reasons. And it's not everyone's cup of tea. I totally recognize some people cannot get used to it and they just end up leaving the stream as a result. That is a price I am willing to pay sometimes. All right, so we don't need this. So in fact, I don't even think this is going to be a problem. And now what we can do is get the save file path from here. File path. We don't need this. File.write all text. And that's it. Let's try that out. Just in your nature. It's in a lot of people's natures, yeah. And when it, I mean, I wouldn't just like outright ban somebody. It's if they repeatedly ignored a warning, I would consider taking some action. So even the people who slip up here a lot, I'm just like, hey, don't forget. If you talk to someone on WhatsApp, does it annoy you when people do that? Yes, yeah, like 100%, man. And it's even worse there because it's actually producing a notification every time I get a message. I mean, I don't use WhatsApp, but on other platforms. Yeah. Just picture you got your phone on your desk or something like that, and it's just vibrating constantly, and you're like, oh, it's that person messaging me again. All right, so we press the end key. No, it's not the end key. The home key. That is unreadable. And also it broke. It was the end key. All right, could not find a part of the path. Oh, because I didn't create the folder? Okay, yeah. Because if I just do this, it's not gonna show me anything. All right, easy peasy. Easy to fix at least. But what do we do about this inside Jump Royale? We must have done something about that. It's not the max path error. It's just saying that the path doesn't exist. Also, I don't think there is a max path error on Mac. I think on Windows that could have been a thing. I'm disappointed if they all come from one person. Yeah, you're like, oh, all this news. Just someone just sharing 2 sentences. Where do we save this? There was save data here. So path to player stats. Let's go find that. I don't think there's anything here that actually tries saving it. Huh. How does that work? Maybe we just, oh, we check it in. That's why. Oh, okay. Yeah, we just need to create the folder then. All right. That's probably just a C# function call, but let's see if there's a like create folder on OS. Yeah, directory.new. I think this is just regular C# stuff, but we'll take a look. There's the error it spits out when you hit the max path. I see. Gotcha. People are so fast to speak without fully finishing their thought process. Yeah, I have a whole like a whole dissertation I've written on this, but it's not in my public notes. Never mind. Yeah. Hey, what did you just say to me? Thanks for resubbing. Welcome back for your 8 months. Yeah, and I've seen that happen. And I think the other feeling that I didn't mention is that if you do have someone chatting to you and they're just typing constant messages, that you feel like you're interrupting them, even though the whole point of the medium is that you can't interrupt because they're instantaneous messages. What app do you use to organize things for the game? Can you go over that for a second? There could be 2 different things you mean by that. One is the game engine itself, which is Godot. And the other is, as far as organization goes, I use a few different things, but the main one is GitHub projects. So all of the tasks that I need to do are listed here. And you can see in progress is create the save system. So you can just drag these between these columns if you want to. And that's how I keep track of what needs to be done. And this is free. Actually, Godot is free as well. And then for organizing my notes and stuff, I use Obsidian and Google Docs, and those are both free, I guess, too. I meant the thing on your tab left. This one? This is just Google Docs. Yeah. And yeah, there's nothing like super special about that. I happen to use it because it's all in real time. Like this document itself is actually public. You can look at this if you want to. There's nothing interesting there, but some people want to follow along or read something that I had written there. Yeah. Okay, so first we got to make sure the path exists. That was something that we were looking at over here. Do we have creating folders? I'll just create it through C#, I guess. C# ensure directory exists. Yeah, just directory.create directory. Sounds pretty easy. So I feel like that's something that this should do. Make sure it exists. All right, so how do we do this? C# get directory from path. Get directory name, system IO path, and system IO, yeah. Path.get directory path. Oh, there's a create dir right on this? No, it's a string. Possible null reference of path. Or no, get directory name. Yeah, get directory name. Okay. So string directory name. And then if that's null, then actually, how about we do this? Argument. Actually, it's not an argument though. I guess it doesn't really matter if it's a null argument or not. Throw up null, otherwise create it by the directory name. Converting null literal, yep, that should be a question mark. There we go. So this is also going to make sure that the path exists. Now, technically, something like get save file path shouldn't do that, but the only time you're ever going to be getting this is when you need to make sure it exists. All right, now this should work. Although all we're going to do is save hello world. And I know it's been 45 minutes getting to this point, but hey, that's how it works sometimes. Yeah, so game saved. Now let's go take a look on disk. We should have Skeleseller, save data should be here somewhere. Save data. And there's save.json. There it is. Hello world. Cool. Now we can get to the real work. Oh, fun, 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 fun. Yeah, so game saver. All right, we can save some basic stuff about the town. I feel like town should probably have a serialized function. Yeah, how do you return? Let me think about this. I guess I could make a... Okay, here's what I'm thinking. For the town, we have only a couple of things I really want to save. Like, what's your storeroom level? What's your, like, shop levels? And eventually, it's going to look something like this, where there's a town blob, and inside there we have, like, storeroom level, yeah, :1. Whatever. Imagine stuff like this, right? Shops is going to be its own thing, where there's going to be, like, blacksmith, and it's going to say 1. To return this would be to make a custom type that has these things in it. So that's one way we could do this. And another way we could do this is annotate all of the, actually, it's probably not even in town. Yeah, I think there's storeroom at least. Yeah, but the actual storeroom is what contains the level. So I guess we could just have it serialize the storeroom as well. Yeah. Take care, Dreamer. Thanks for dropping in. And I wonder if you could have like a custom serialized message. JSON custom property serializer. Or just one property. Converter. Oh, interesting. But this is for a particular field. So yeah, I guess what we would do is we would serialize everything. Oh man. All right, just thinking about how this is exactly going to work. How can I get the mouse look of yours? If you can tell me so I can get that as well. Yeah, I think it's in, well, I guess either of these commands probably works. Yeah, it's in that spreadsheet. Most things I have in chat are commands. And if you're ever curious, there is a command website you can use, which is just a.bot.land. And you could search for things like keyboard or editor or program or something like that. I've got commands for a ton of stuff. Got 423 of them. Oh yeah, sure, Bigfoot. Yeah. There's an attribute to ignore serialization, and I guess it's only the public attributes we need anyway. And I guess storeroom level is actually saved here. Adventure level is also saved. Money is saved. Okay, let's try just serializing the town, I guess. Let's see what that does. Be nice if I could just run the save function without running the game somehow. All right, that failed. Why did that fail? Serialization and deserialization of system.int pointer instances. Oh, is this because Godot nodes have some like native layer conversion thing? Because this looks like the whole, oh, what's it called? Marshalling. Yeah, I see canvas item and stuff. I'm guessing that's what's happening here. Yeah. Can write custom converters if you need to. It looked like that was on specific properties though. Although maybe it's... Make serialized and deserialized methods use it. Choose one of the following approaches. Add an instance of the converter class to the JSON serializer options. Converters, apply it to the properties that require it, or apply it to a class or a struct. Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, I guess I could apply it to the whole class. Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's try that. Let's try to get the town to serialize as hello world. Also, let's do something else before I mess this up. Let's put save inside its own try catch. That way we can see. I'll just print out a floating text thing here. Error saving. Red. There. And then I guess delete the. What? Can you not? Oh, there we go. Oh my God. I guess we'll just throw it again. Yeah. Changes stack information. Are you serious? There's like no working around this? I don't care, whatever. I'll just suppress this. Oh, you can name the thing underscore? No, you can't. All right, yeah, I'm suppressing this. This is not worth my time. I don't really care about the exception anyway. Wow, it's now I've got to suppress the other thing, huh? Yeah, I'm just gonna suppress everything. Just push it all way down deep. I didn't fix anything. I just made it so that now you'll see error saving and you can know to go read the console. All right, so custom serializer on town. Let's read the beginning of this. Shows how to create custom converters for the serialization classes that are provided in system text JSON namespace. For an introduction, see how to serialize and deserialize. Converter is a class that converts an object or value to and from JSON. System text JSON namespace has built-in converters for most primitive types. You can write custom converters to override it. Does this mean plain old C# object? As a JSON string, for example, the phone number type. Yeah, okay, I see. Also write custom converters to customize or extend this with new functionality. Visual Basic can't be used to write custom converters. We got to stop using Visual Basic. All right, the problem is the scroll bar is gigantic. So I don't want to read the entire page. Let's see if we can find quickly 2 patterns for creating one: basic pattern and factory pattern. Factory patterns for converters that handle type and enum, so we don't need that. The basic patterns for non-generic and closed generic types. For example, converters for the following types require the factory pattern. Yeah, this should be fine. So we can use the basic pattern. Sample basic converter. Following sample is a converter that overrides default serialization for an existing data type. Converter uses the date format. Okay, so we extend JSON converter and we implement read and write. And it's a JSON converter for a datetime offset. So the converter itself gets to have all the code. So we would make a town converter and the town converter would know what to do. Okay, I think that's probably pretty reasonable. But then how do you register this? Can you collapse parts of this? No, you can't. Create a class that derives this, where T is the type you want to serialize. Override read, override write. Yeah, override can convert only if necessary. Default returns true when the type to convert is of type T. See polymorphic deserialization section? I don't think we're going to need this. Yeah, I don't think we're going to need this. Heard that built-in converters, source code, steps that, what? How do you register that this is a thing? I guess JSON converter knows how to do that already? Interesting. All right, so then let's go save another file here and we'll call it town saver. Sounds really stupid. Maybe town converter. Yeah, town converter. It may not be obvious what this thing is. Here. Oh, you do need to register. Why didn't they write that in the basic thing? Well, it makes this the default for properties of type of this. Yeah, JSON serializer.serialize. Oh, you specify the converters? Interesting. And write indented serialization options. Okay. Let's copy this into Game Saver. Once we have the foundation for this, it's going to be like dead simple. So here's serialize. We want serialization options now. Converter is going to be new town converter. Then we pass in the serialize options here. Is right indented false by default? Right indented. True by default, it's serialized without any extra white space. Oh yeah, that's true. That's why the jump royale formatting sucks. That gets checked in, so it makes sense to delete the white space. Yeah. Neat. All right, now what's the problem here? Cannot create cache and reuse instances. I mean, okay, fine. I don't really care. Public, static, JSON, serializer options. I don't want to return a new one. I just want to say serializer. Yeah, but we probably can't do this. Cannot create an instance of the static class town converter. I had not finished writing this. Where's the converter? Here it is. Yeah, I want to copy this stuff. There we go. And this is for a town. Read is going to be, sure, let's just have it be date stuff for now. I don't really care. And then delete all of this. Now, what's the problem? Does not implement write because it's got to take in towns. Town. Write string value hello world and parse reader.getString. This is date time stuff. Let's just return the, oh, this has to make an entire town. Oh man. This is probably not going to work because we're going to have the town node in the scene tree. So we just need to hydrate it and not do this stuff. Although maybe we could, I don't know. Yeah, let's just have it return a new town or something. This is going to totally break. Remember, match the identifier, town value. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to change this too. But let's try it out. Now we should be able to create one of these. Use trailing commas. I don't really care. Use trailing comma again. It says new can be simplified. What? I don't see what the problem is. Although I just deleted this. Let's just put it back to how it was. All right, so now delete this. Serialize options, sure. All right, so this is gonna write hello world and it's not gonna use the town information at all. I guess let's say hello world plus town dot level. Where's storeroom level? Here it is. Name town does not exist in the current context. Yeah, I renamed it to value. And then we can delete all of these. Okay, I think that'll work. It'll save hello world 1 because it's the storeroom level. I guess we can even upgrade the storeroom and then save. And now the JSON file that we have says hello world 6 because we're level 6. Yeah, so that works, but reading is not going to work. Yeah, because this is how we would return a brand new town, which I don't think we can do in probably almost any of these cases. It is nice that there's a custom converter way of doing things though. Yeah, so problem, we create town through the scene tree. So to make a new town object, not be simple here. Instead, we should probably hydrate the existing town object with the values that we read from JSON. Which, it's not like this is hard to do. It's just I need to do it. So we need to load inside of town. Yeah. All right, well, I think it's break time right now. My stream uptime is almost exactly an hour. Yeah, it's not like it's going to be that hard. I liked this style, though, where I got to keep everything totally separate. And now town is going to need a load function, which I guess if everything's, well, not everything's going to be public here. But yeah, I'll do this when I get back from the break. Is it jump time? My computer doesn't seem to think so. Is it jump time? Okay, what is going on here? What does it think the captions are? Is it jump time? It's jump time. We got it working. All right, you can join, you can play the game. I'll be back in just a couple minutes, and then we'll continue working on saving. Hey again, everybody. Close the game. Well, at least I got that one. All right. So yeah, let's go change this up. So we can't just say serialize the town. We're going to say string serialized everything equals town.save, something like that. Yeah. Or like get JSON save data. I think the way that C# does this is they don't capitalize everything there, so we'll do it like that too. All right, so save data, serialize it. We don't need the converter anymore. New can be simplified. Let's simplify it. Should begin with an uppercase letter. Sure, except for I'll just make it private. Then put a thing at the beginning. And then our converter can be deleted. There we go. All right, now town needs make read only. Now our town needs this method. Public. Yeah. So I know it says use properties where appropriate. I will need to make a custom object here too, I think. Again, we're just in the case where I'm saving hello world. Yeah, there, game saved. So it should say hello world over here. Yeah, good. All right. And then I would like to give this, I'd like to put this inside of a town object. Oh, the town's going to serialize everything. So here's what I'm thinking. Let me go make this. Let me make like a town save data. And this will be public class town save data. This also belongs in a different spot now, towns. This is what will have things like public int, storeroom level. Then what else do we need here? Like the adventurers and stuff. Let's just start with storeroom level. Let's delete everything. All right, so now in the town, we're going to say return new town save data. Now this can't be a string. We need to, I guess we could serialize this ahead of time. Yeah. Take care, Leftists. Have fun typing P repeatedly into meetings. Yeah, I think we'll need a serializer for this. Alternatively, we return a town save data and then know how to do that. Yeah, I guess that could be fine. Yeah, so town could just return town save data. Be sure to check keywords later. Okay. All right, let's try that. Yeah, nice. Now, I'd like that to be inside of a town path. I wonder how we do that. That's probably one of those property annotations to say where we want to save this. It's like right now it's like this. I want it to be like this. And that way we can save settings stuff separately. Yeah. I am not sure how to serialize and deserialize. Oh, I guess what we could do is we could just make a new, we could make like a, we have town save data. We could just make an all save data and have town save data in it. Yeah, okay. Let me try that. We'll say like all save data. All town save data. There we go. Must contain a non-null value when exiting constructor. Set init. Actually, it doesn't really matter. Equals null. Okay, so what we really want is an all save data. And then to put that here, all save data. And then try that out. I feel like writing a saver and a loader it's just not fun. It's just something that needs to be done. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want. And now I just want to rename what the property is. And there's an annotation for that somewhere. I just got to find the annotation. Specify properties to ignore. Customize JSON name casing. I'm gonna customize the name. JSON property name, here it is. So this will just be called town. There. Now I think we're cooking. So now it should have gotten saved as, yeah, town. Perfect. Super interested in how this is done. I think it's not bad to write one once or twice, like a saver or a loader or something like that. Generally, the way I look at it is this. You have a lot of objects in a game, and they have state that you want to save and a bunch of state you don't care about. So when you think of, in this game, what needs to be saved about an adventurer, maybe their name, maybe you customize it, their level, their skill tree that you chose, and pretty much anything else that's not just guaranteed to be the same the next time around. So like you wouldn't save things like the graphic that they use. You would save the class, like warrior versus rogue. And then from the class, you can figure out which graphic it should use. So figuring out that list of, it's usually pretty small, like, 4 or 5 properties per thing that you need to save. And then rehydrating the class using those properties. It's a little bit of a puzzle, but it's just not all that interesting, I think, for me. Hey, Heartfang, keyboard looks nice. Yeah, it's a Corn keyboard. I've been using it now for, I think, a few years. I am quite fond of it. I've got quite a lot of information about it online. So every new feature added to an adventurer would have to be added to the save data. It would need to be considered whether it should be added, yeah. So let's say you add in a hat system. You probably just want to store like the hat ID and maybe if you have like a hat color, but that's it. Just enough to be able to reconstruct the hat later. And then you also probably need to consider like a save versioning system. So imagine if you have a save file that was before hats existed, your new save system should still know how to load it, even though it won't contain the full data that's needed. So typically you could do this with like a migration pattern, sort of like you do with a database, where you have schemas, although it's all just probably JSON data, and you know how to convert between schemas. And then there's one other tiny thing to consider. So take a look at this ability. Is this what it's called? Yeah, take a look at this. So here we have like Boulder is set to the ID 1 and Taunt is set to the ID 9. The reason these are all specifically customized here is because if you were to just have these in a list, so if I were to write this out, wait, there. This is valid C#, and it will be functionally identical to what I had originally. But now let's say we're like, you know what, Boulder, let's add in a new thing called like Fire Boulder. Now you have just changed the values of all of these. And if you had saved this into your save data, these will all have different values, which is why we have these specifically customized here. So that's another thing you got to be careful of is when do you reinterpret data? Yeah, because like imagine you just had colors and you had like red, blue, green, and there's just 0, 1, and 2. Then later you add in purple. It's like, well, that's now got to be the number 3, or you've got to have a save version schema migrator thing. Having issues finding the right position to place my corn. Any recommendations? You mean like tenting and width apart? It's a little hard to say exactly because it's like what feels comfortable for you might be a little different. But in general, you should have your shoulders back and down, and then wherever your hands naturally rest, that's how far into the desk they should probably be, the halves of the keyboard. And as far as distance apart from one another, I think it's just whatever feels comfortable. Yeah, and let me know if you have any other questions, Sicko. I mean, of course. All right, so what are we actually doing here? I guess we should write a load function now that just sets the storeroom level. Do you use layers or homeroom mods? I use layers. I tried homeroom mods for a while and they just drive me nuts. Just a very quick overview of what I'm talking about for people who don't know. Picture on your phone keyboard, typically, like at least on Android, if you press Q, it types out a Q. If you hold Q, for me, it types out a 1. And I mean, you're probably used to this for a bunch of other things, like a question mark. You typically hold slash to type it out. This is how home row mods work on a keyboard like this, where you press it and it does one thing, and you hold it and it does another thing. And the problem is getting the amount of time correct just never fully worked out for me. Pretty hard to use layers, especially with shortcuts. I ended up using one-shot mods, and I talk about this in the video a little bit, but like, let's say I'm just typing out a letter A. With a one-shot mod, I can press a key. So I have pressed the shift key, but now my hand is not on the keyboard. And now when I press A, it's going to be capitalized 1 time. And that's the one-shot mod part of things. So I can enter a layer, and then I can press a shortcut. So let's say I press Command Shift. And now when I press D, it's going to send Command Shift D, which is going to delete the line. So I think one-shot mods help a little bit with that. So that way you don't need to stay in the layer and hold down certain fingers, and you can just use the mod once. That's life-changing. I mean, it might be life-changing. You might try it and hate it. You can also hold the shift key down and just, whoops, that would have been bad. You can just type a bunch of stuff. So it's not like it's only one time. You can hold it still. All right, so let's make a load. Public void load town save data. Save data. So this is not just a matter of setting the right storeroom level. I mean, I guess we could do something like this. Where do we upgrade the storeroom? We might need to downgrade the storeroom, actually. Oh, man. What I hate about save and load systems. Excuse me. That cough has never fully gone away. Where is the storeroom? We have current level here. Add next item display. We need a way to remove all of the item displays. We don't have a way of, wow. Oh, this is going to take longer than just the morning. All right, what is the starting level? Num starting storeroom displays. This somehow gets set to a level somewhere. Add next item display. I see. Right here. This is done in the storeroom in ready. So we can't do this in ready anymore. We need to do this in init probably. And then make sure these are called in the right spots. Storeroom must have already existed. Yeah, so we can do this in init. So then init should know what level to start at. And then we can just initialize it again. Except for we can't because there's this thing. No, upgrade storeroom. Maybe we make a set level thing. There is a set here. But we need a custom thing that lets us set it. And that way it can be downgraded. All right, I'm going to do that. Set level. Current level equals level. We need to delete all. Or maybe we could just say load. Load from save data level. So set the current level, then delete all item displays that exist. Well, how do we add? Because we pretty much just want to make the opposite of that. Add item display, add child. Yeah, so this is what we're going to delete. And then part of the cleanup here is I need to just clean up here. It is. Storeroom should save off. What is this? Item. It's item displays node in ready. All right. Node 2D item displays equals this. Then for each node child and children, remove and queue free. I think we can just free it. Then set the level and then add item displays to get us back to that level. Yeah. Now in town, we call that. And we should be good. Let's try it out. I don't even know what I have saved right now. It's level 2. So let's just set this to level 20. And then we'll try loading from that. Loading from the file. It didn't seem to work. Oh, I never even connected this stuff. Of course it doesn't work. Nothing's calling that function. Also, that purple is not readable. Violet. Yeah, let's just set this to green. All right, so something's actually gotta call load. So how about we just make a game saver dot load this. It shouldn't be in game saver. But what are you gonna do? Move load out of game saver because it's not a save function, or just rename game saver. Probably just rename it. I love knowing how to code. Sometimes I don't. Today's one of those days. Finally grew tired of having to manually write build tool configuration files. Wrote a program to write that file based on the input. I think, look, this is bound to happen. If you do something enough, the novelty will go away. And if the novelty was the only thing keeping that interesting, then the task won't be interesting. So I've done only a couple of interviews on stream, but one of the more recent one was with Steve, and Steve had mentioned, I just hate building CRUD apps at this point. Like if I have to build another CRUD app, I'm going to delegate it to someone else, because once you've done it enough, it's just, there's no interest anymore. And I feel like there's a lot of grunt work when it comes to coding something. And that's why it's nice to have different levels of people on a team, so you can give the grunt work to a more junior person, because they will still have some novelty and will probably learn from it. Whereas the senior person is just going to be bored to tears. I think this is something that AI can help with quite a lot, which is just get rid of all the monotony of some of those tasks. But yeah, I think that's a pretty involved topic. Anyway, whenever a task is like bone dry, it's just so boring that I need to like drag myself to do it. Those are the hardest ones. And if there's any difficulty involved and it's boring, then it's the worst combo. All right, we need to call load in the game saver. Yeah, here. So now we need to deserialize. So look at the loading code and just copy this. All right, so get the file path. And if it doesn't exist, return, throw an error or something. Throw new file not found exception. Cool. Say file not found. Expected a path. Put a $sign there. Convert this to this. Then get the string. This is read all from file path. Should probably just replace this everywhere. Then all save data JSON result is deserialize all save data from the string. If it's null, throw new something. Does it know what I want to throw? JSON data exception? Nope. I don't know what exception this should be. Oh, invalid JSON data was a custom exception we had written over here. What might you look like? You're just an exception. All right, what's the closest C# exception to this? Where's their giant list? Common exceptions. Let's just go with invalid operation for now. Failed to deserialize save data. Null check can be simplified. Sure, simplify. All right. So now we have the save data. Now we need to load in all of that stuff. So town.load the town save data, I guess. Sure. Now we can write that function. Save public void load. There it is. I already had a load function here, but I guess I was never calling it. All right, let's try that out. Now we just need to do this like 40 more times and we're done. So if I load this in, it kind of worked, but not really. Yeah, it's always putting these here. Also, I guess I never thought about this, but if we load in the item displays, they are collision boxes. So if a worker were walking over one of these, they might get stuck. That's something we're going to have to figure out in the future. Figure out what to do about collision, which can change when loading everything in. Eventually, we should probably just save the position of everything so that there can't be any broken collisions. Storeroom. What do we got that's going wrong? Add next item display. This is figuring out where to position it, and it's figuring out where to position it based on what? The current level? Is the current level not set already? Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, we don't even need to do this then. We just need to set current level to 0. Or whatever it starts at. What does it start at? 0. Yeah. There we go. So we undo everything that exists. We set it back to 0. Then we level it back up again. Now let's try that out. And I think this will look good. And like I said, we'll have done one tiny portion of all of the save stuff. Yeah, there it is. So this got us to level 20. If I were to go modify the save file and set this to level 50 and then load, it loads us in at level 50. This is actually super powerful, I just realized. Because now instead of this stuff, like grant most things, grant items, we could just have like load save file that has, you know, 2 rogues and a warrior or something like that. And then just specify everything through save data, which has its own problems. It could be more brittle. The character is stuck. No, they're just oh, it's not rebuilding the nav mesh. Oh my god. It's a good thing I realized that. Rebake nav mesh. Yeah, this needs to be done after loading. Interesting. Yeah, because I don't know where to walk. Well, it's a good thing I randomly tested with 50 of those, because I probably wouldn't have noticed if I'd only set it to 5. Now they should know not to walk there. Yeah, nice. I mean, we could just do this and throw in a whole bunch of characters and items and stuff. And if they don't ever get stuck, then I think we're good. Yeah. Nice. Nice. What a daunting task this is. There's just so much to do and there's so much that can go wrong. But no use complaining. It won't completely stop me from complaining, but there's no use in complaining. All right, so we've stored 1 thing. Let's go store 2 things. Oh, let's store your money. That's another good one. So town data, public long money. All right, now in save, we store money equals money. Now we have 2 things. Now let's get 3 things. The adventurer level. I could do many of these things at once. Hey, Pressel. Adventurer level. Save. Now we have 3. Let's get 4. What else do we need? Dated available skill point. What is this? Oh, it's an action. Workers node, storeroom, maximum customers, no customers, portal spread. I don't care about a lot of that stuff. Let's write a list of all the stuff we still need to save. Adventurer. So stats, classes, warrior versus mage. It's always overloaded to say classes because we're talking about programming here. Stats, classes, skill trees, skills chosen, available skill points. What else makes an adventurer an adventurer? Your class, your stats, your skill points, your chosen skills, and maybe... No, that's pretty much it. And then we need to make sure that we put them back in town. Make sure to load them such that they're in town and not in battle. Items that are in the storeroom. Items that are in shop displays. Shop states. How many items displays are in the storeroom? So we're done with that. Then which quests are done? I don't know if we're going to touch that yet. All right, let's go save adventurers. How do we want to do this? Well, I think we have two ways we can do this. So we have an entity component system, which means entities can have any arbitrary components. So option number one is we try saving the stuff that we know makes an adventurer an adventurer. And option number two is we just save sort of arbitrary components and reconstruct the entity. Both pose certain problems. Well, we know we have an adventurer class. And what do we do with this? Create adventurer with town and storeroom. We would then need to set all of its data. Hey, Guritoro and Maniac. What about items that are in transit with a villager? Do you need to save them or will they fall into another category? That's something that I'd eventually like to save, but that I'm not going to do it first. In fact, maybe I should write that down as like... Did I write that down? If it's item displays node and ready. Yeah. So eventually save everything. The items that adventurers are holding, the positions of adventurers and customers and their remaining money, battle states, maybe even with projectiles. Yeah. So if we save arbitrary components, we have something like health component, and health component just keeps track of a life value and a max life value. So we could just save those things and then load them in. And yeah, that would work. Another way of, well, I guess we have to do something that way, right? Because how else will we know how much remaining life you have? We can't just store the max life. Why is this private? Oh, because there's a property to get it. Okay, that's fine. And we need to make sure event listeners don't go off multiple times. Oh. Make sure the event handlers aren't triggering multiple times, e.g. on health component. We need to make sure we set up the subscriptions correctly. Because you might already be in a battle and then you load another game. So what we might want to do at first is like maybe under the hood, we change you to another scene so that we can free everything and then reconstruct things from scratch. You want to free the entire current scene and reconstruct the whole thing. Would that even be doable? I don't know. I'm still torn on this part. Saving arbitrary components. Like, what does an adventurer have? Let's... Do we have a way to print that out? I don't think so. How about this? Let's go make something really fast. Let's have a public static void print info node entity. So this will print out which components you have. I think I want to do it this way. Print components, then tab this in. I don't even know if tabbing it in works in the Godot console. Whoops. Should be here anyway. Tab it in and then say colon component and just have it print whatever it should print. All right, now let's try printing the info about, I guess, all of the adventurers. So in town, I'll just make another debug function here. That's not town. This is town input. So we'll just, when you press page up, and I don't know how they write out page up, so let's go find out how. Page underscore up. There. So when you press page up, it's going to go through all of the adventurers to do get adventurers. I'm writing this out because the AI can probably do it because I don't remember what the function was called. It's not going to do that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's just get adventurers. All right, get adventurers, and then for each, I want to do ECS dot print info about the adventurer. And then let's use the explicit type. All right, so that's when you press page up. Let's just try that, see what happens. It's going to tell us which components we have. I mean, I can kind of guess. We have health, I think battle stats, an adventurer component, probably some sort of target location kind of thing. Here's what we have. Storeroom town, adventurer abilities, health, battle stats, navigation agent, animated sprite, target location. Like some of these shouldn't be saved at all, probably, because they'll get constructed, and then some. Yeah. Just trying to think about this. Battle stats, health. Where do we get battle stats from? Hire adventurer. Create adventurer. Init, here it is, battle stats. Do I smell savable? Yeah, it's probably gonna have to be something like that. Also, what time is it? 10:07, yeah. This is always gonna add a health component with you at max life. All right, well, a couple things. One, I'm leaning toward this style of doing things where we save off the components. Leaning toward this since it'll make saving everything else so much easier. But we need to init the adventurer with the right amount of life. So So we have this component when we load. All right. I'm just going to write something out here. Public void load from save data. And we'd probably have an adventurer save data, which we don't have right now. Wow, this is actually pretty good. This is pretty good. I mean, the abilities thing is not right, but the rest of this has done a decent job. I don't want to set life to max either. Maybe we go make adventurer save data. Where do we have the other kinds of save data? It's all just here. Probably gonna need a folder for this. But let's save this. It still gives you anxiety. Hey, Orca. What you working on? I'm working on the save system for Skeleseller. I will be honest, I'm not having a super fun time doing this, only because it's very, very dry and boring. A save system is something that practically every game needs, and players just expect it to exist as a result of that. But it's not all that fun to work on. Actually, I find those are generally maybe some of the worst tasks. It's something that people just expect, but they don't understand how much work goes into it, maybe. Is this in Unity? No, this is in Godot. Hang on one second. I gotta cough my lungs out. Oh. All right, adventurer save data. We need to store what level, number of available skill points. This is stuff that should be stored inside the components themselves. Yeah, we don't have any of this here, which is why I don't think this is a good idea, actually. Adventurer component. Is in battle, level, number of available skill points. Yeah. Just do a memory dump. Just clone somebody's computer and have them set it to the side. All right, I think we do need to just go through an entity and save all of its components. So this adventurer save data wouldn't even exist. Yeah. And then when it comes to loading an entity, maybe we have some custom logic there. But I think this thing about adventurer save data, this probably won't ever get used. To do, see if this is even used. I may have opted for a different method altogether. How are you liking Godot? It's on my list of ones to test someday. I like it. I used it a few years ago, and I thought it was pretty easy to get up and running with it. And, you know, every once in a while, and this is probably true of practically any technology somebody uses, there are some rough edges. But I think that I've got things set up now to the point where things are going pretty well with it. What's nice, if you ever want to try Orca, is you could just download it and kind of start controlling a character or something within probably like half an hour. It's not going to be like Unreal where it's a full 3D model and you got like first person templates and whatever else, but it'll be much more basic and understandable. Hey, Physitronic. I'm doing well. I am working on a system that is definitely needed. I have a list of tasks. Where is it? Yeah, I have a list of tasks for the current checkpoint. God, I can never. Doesn't matter how many times I do this. There it is. So this represents all of the work that I wanted to do in the next either 16 or 23 days. Maybe looking more like 23 at this point. And yeah, create save system is on the top. And then we only have just a simple 26 more tasks left to do. Some of this stuff can probably be a little bit skipped or some would be pretty fast. But yeah, it feels like there's a lot of work. Too used to Unreal? Yeah. And if Unreal is working for you, then I don't suggest switching. Yeah. Even official documentation about how to save a game in Godot? Yeah. Hey, Tensei. Would make your life easier. I mean, you could maybe compensate with your own organization, although there's only so much you can do if tasks are coming from somebody else. You could also just try to instill that value in the team. Everything's got to start somewhere. So what I'm thinking here is we have some kind of save entity, and each component would get saved in a certain way. I guess the components could probably just be saved directly. Yeah, Unreal and 2D games. I just don't think they're optimizing for it. And their engine is so well optimized for 3D that it makes sense. It's like if I were working on a 3D game, I'd probably consider Unreal, especially if I wanted it to look really good. He's not the type. Complains that he can never do stuff on time. It's a catch-22. Hey, Trackley, am I disappearing a bit? I know this shirt is slightly green, but hopefully the green screen isn't picking it up, or the chroma key isn't picking it up. Hey, APX. Liking it so far, building a small app for practice. Yeah, I want to try out Flutter at some point, although more academically than for any particular project. I'm just so used to making a shirt joke. Got to come up with them sometimes. Got to build material. I get back. I'm not the type. Yeah, that sounds frustrating. I think when you're dealing with someone who doesn't want to grow or address their mistakes or accommodate any feedback, I think that can be frustrating, because it's like that means whatever problems you have with them will just be problems for the rest of the time you work with them. I feel like that's not a good mentality to have. All right, well, let's start by writing out a simple save entity public for, oh wait, where am I? What am I doing? Is this ECS that I'm in? I can't read the top. Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah. So public static. It's got to return something here. I don't even know what it returns. What does serialize return? I guess a string, right? Yeah, a string. So I guess we need to return a string from here. Oh, whoops. Public static string save to JSON node entity. Is that Copilot? Yeah, that's Copilot. Yeah. I generally try to keep everything as a command in chat. So if you ever are curious about something, I have this site a.bot.land, and it's got pretty much everything people ask about, you know, keyboard, FAQ, the game itself, whatever's going on today, the AI stuff, or Copilot, I guess. I think I somehow accepted it, tried to fight and show how we can improve. At this point, I don't care anymore. Yeah, I got to say that if someone's not willing to grow, that's really the only thing you can do as a result of it, is just find a way to be okay with the situation. That way you're not just constantly angry working with them. So what you're doing sounds pretty reasonable. But still, wouldn't it be nice to work with someone who wanted to address that and get better at it? So I want to save each component, which means that component itself needs a save function. There's just added and removed. We can just add one for now. Public string virtual string save to JSON. Then duplicate this and put it down here. Not all code paths return a value. Return uncoded. Yeah, we can't intentionally leave it empty because it's got a return value here. And then let's try just health component at first. Wait a second, no. We don't need to do this, I don't think. Yeah, there is no save to JSON. We just try serializing the thing and see what happens. Yeah, so just JSON serializer dot serialize. Now, where did I put that? Oh, wow. Programmers drop from #1 most wanted job to number 7 or 8. Yeah, I wonder what it's going to be about 5 years from now. I feel like the market has contracted a bit. And I don't know if it's going to bounce back or what. So save off the component. Oh, we need this inside a list of components. And we also need to know what kind of component it was. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. Because how do we know how to rehydrate it? I'm not sure. Let's see what happens when we just do this. Wait, we need to save off the entity too. The containers know we have a problem here, so this can't. I'm actually just gonna return a string here, hello world, and we're gonna just print this out. String JSON equals this, gd.print JSON. Serializing an entity. Then in the town, when we go to save, we can go through each adventurer. For each adventurer, and get adventurers. ECS dot save to JSON adventure. Learn the hard way, going through many hours of one-on-one chats with bosses. Learn the hard way about what? The job market? Is this a save system you want to edit? Just wondering why JSON and not binary. I think JSON is easier to use in development, and to convert it to binary at some point could be just a straight up conversion. I think in the future we do want to lock this file down a little bit. I missed a message before that one. I didn't miss a message. I guess you were talking about this though. I thought you were talking about this one. Yeah, so in this is always kind of a sticking point, I think, for people, which is like game saves. Should you try to make them hard to edit? Should you put a padlock on them, like fake security? And yeah, what should you do about this? And for single player games, I just don't think it's very important to like totally lock it down. I think very rarely will you see games just outright put it in some plain text format like XML or JSON. But in this case, it's like, let's say we just had the JSON file on disk and we just let you modify it. Like, you bought the game, you could do that. I'll probably turn it into a binary format in the end, so that if someone wants to edit it, they need to convert it first, and then finding a converter is something they'll have to do. Hey, Alter Baby, welcome back. How did your work day go? Yesterday, I guess. Or 2 days ago, were you super tired? I'm just thinking in terms of speed. Oh, in terms of speed, I'm not concerned. So saving and loading is something that happens very infrequently. Well, loading especially pretty infrequently because the player has to trigger that themselves. Saving could be slightly more frequent if you have auto saves. But even then, like auto saves are once every 5 minutes. And it's just not the kind of thing that's, yeah, it's like if something takes 5 milliseconds instead of 3, it's not going to be a big deal. My program's not showing a message. Interesting. Let me find that really fast. Oh, maybe it's also the mentality of people here. I wonder how many other messages I missed then. Never worked with a boss who wants to improve. They claim they want feedback. If you give them feedback, they'll start reasoning why you're wrong. Yeah, every time you have something like that happen, you build up this idea that that's how it's always going to be. And then finally you'll work with someone who's good and who accepts feedback, and you'll be like, no, this is wrong. This is all just a show. Some weird defense mechanism we have. Yeah, I don't see any even moderator messages. I wonder if I refresh chat, if it would show up. No, it still doesn't show up. I'm guessing it doesn't show for anybody except for you then. Strange. Surprised I was able to do so much work and fully focused too. Sweating and yawning. Yeah, oh yeah. Asleep in seconds. All right, nice. Do you want me to send it to you on Discord too? No, that's okay. I don't know why the message didn't send. And either way, this is the kind of thing where it's like, I can literally never know. There's no way for me to know if someone was in that same state because I just don't see the message, right? So unless they tell me, hey, I sent a message and you didn't respond to it, which happens every once in a while. Hang on one sec. Oh, doesn't bode well for mentoring. I mean, I'm fine to mentor. I'm going to be coughing into the microphone, and at the very least, Peter's going to hear me because I can only mute the OBS mic quickly. Yeah, I'm glad we clarified it here, Physitronic. Oh, let's try this out. Close, and try this. So all this is going to do is print out. No, it's going to break. Adventurer save data does not contain a definition for level. I'm going to delete this because I don't know what I was thinking here. Reveal, delete, adventurer save data. There's a usage of this somewhere. I don't want this. Save data. Here it is. Yeah, I don't need this. I think we're just going to cut this out completely. Yeah. I don't exactly know what this is going to do. Also, how do we even trigger this? Loaded. I didn't want to load. I wanted to save. There we go. Name, storeroom component, town component. Okay, so we have names here. We need to be able to go from those names into classes, which means we can never rename these things. Oh boy. All right. But that's actually all it gave us. So where is this happening? Let's just close all editors. Yeah, don't save. Serialized component. It's not really serializing it. I guess it's serializing it at the component level. So something like health component doesn't get its max life. Let me try something. Print ecs.get component health component entity and the serialize of that. Health component. Oh, Physitronic, what I'm saying is it couldn't be shown on my end, or else it would still be in my chat. Because the only way that messages can be removed if there's a moderator message shown. All right, the health component. Oh, God. All right, we have a little bit of a problem. Oh, I see. When you said check the VOD, you meant check the chat of the VOD, not the chat in the video itself. Got it. Yeah, I wonder if there was an error in your Twitch chat or something, or if it even showed up. Could be a bunch of things that went wrong. Okay, so why is this happening? We're serializing a component without serializing the derived class. So there's got to be some way to do that. JSON serializer C# derived class. Close all these other tabs. How to serialize properties of derived classes. Supports polymorphic type hierarchy serialization and deserialization with attribute annotations. Suppose you have a weather forecast base and a derived class weather forecast with city. And suppose the type argument of serialized t-value method is weather forecast base. In this scenario, city is serialized because weather forecast base object is actually this. Configuration enables polymorphic serialization. Wait, how though? Oh, because of this? JSON, oh my God, we're gonna have to do this for like a million different types. Oh my goodness. Oh man. So if we did this, if I went into component and I put this here and we did JSON derived type health component, then it would just work and I don't need this bit, but we need to do that for every single possible derived type. Oh man. What am I getting myself into? Error saving. What happened? Exception thrown, not supported exception. But that's it? It's not going to tell me any more information? What? Let's try that again. Yeah. It just says system not supported. What? Did I do something wrong? Maybe I need to say this for all of them? You must specify a type discriminator for the derived class. That's for deserialization, though. Oh my God, this is... Type discriminator identifiers are valid in either string or int form, so the following is valid. Is this a problem because I didn't write it for everything? Customize the name. Oh my God. This is... It's ridiculous. Yeah, so I think I would need at the very least all of the different names that we have. So these. Do you think AI could become sentient someday? Uh, Not in the way that we kind of think of through science fiction, I guess. But I guess I kind of think about this like duck typing. Like if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it must be a duck. If you were to show someone just current AI, like ChatGPT, but 50 years ago, and you just said, "Hey, here's a phone. You're talking to someone on the other end," they'd probably just believe you, right? Like maybe any weird little differences, they'd be like, "Yeah, maybe they're just not from around this area or something." So at that point, it would seem like sentience to them because they wouldn't understand everything that's going into creating that phone call. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think exactly it's going to be like that, but town component adventure. Why am I typing all this out? We just take this, do one of these, do that, and then write out, what am I doing? There. There. Okay. Now what am I missing? Closing parenthesis. That might fix this. I don't know. Can't wait for them to pop off so I can buy their stocks. Well, there's a lot of AI companies that have already kind of popped off, and I guess you can kind of count Nvidia as one of them because of their graphics cards being used by everything. But yeah, their stock went nuts. I guess even Google and Microsoft have done pretty well. Does this work? It still says not supported, but it's not telling me why. That what? Storeroom, town, adventure, abilities, health, battle, navigation, animated sprite, target location. Yeah, that's everything. It just throws an exception. I don't know why that's happening. Be nice if it gave me more information. Oh, maybe I'm the one stopping it from giving me more information? I don't need to serialize exceptions. I'm not doing that. Oh, I get what they're saying here. I'm trying to serialize a type that can't be serialized. I just don't know what it is. It must be this. I guess we can just print it out. gd.print serializing component of type that. It might be the very first one that fails. I can get you in on the ground floor. Yeah, storeroom component. It's already failing. But I have this type of thing here. So why would this fail? Oh, because we can't serialize a storeroom. All right, of course. Oh. We could write a custom. Oh man, there's a whole bunch of stuff we could do here to try to get this to work. What if we just didn't? What if we just got rid of that and probably got rid of the town component? Yeah. And really anything else that has a problem here? Maybe navigation agent component. Last time updating target, that might matter, but probably not. What is animated sprite for? Yeah, we don't need that, I guess. Target location. We should be able to have vector 2s. I don't see a problem with that. Yeah, those can serialize just fine. Everything else okay? I think everything else is okay. Power, fortitude, life, max life, abilities might work. Adventurer should work. Yeah, let's try that. I think app2b is just kidding around. But that's some good faith you're showing over there. Good faith in internet strangers. Possibly not a good thing. Why is it still breaking? Oh, come on. I gotta switch into mentoring mode pretty soon. So I have just created a tangled mess of everything. And we can't serialize a storeroom component. If I deleted all of these, it would serialize. So maybe there's just something I need to do with this annotation. High risk, high reward. More like high risk, no reward. All of the downside with none of the upside. Okay, yeah, that works. So it's once we have any derived types that we just can't use this anymore. I wonder why that's happening. You must specify a type discriminator. And we could have done this with type discriminators that are based on not recommended. Either use all strings, all ints, or none at all. I don't think you can use none at all in my case. Default property name for the type discriminator is type. What? Do we need this JSON polymorphic? Unknown derived type handling. Fall back to base type. Ah, that's what's happening, I think. To handle unknown derived types, you must opt into such support. Since it does not explicitly opt in, attempting to serialize instances will result in a runtime exception. Wow, no kidding. Thanks, C#. Well, at least they have this in their documentation. So we need to just put this here. Fall back to base type. Yeah, that should do it. All right, next, I want a shortcut for this. Restart is what? Shift Command F5? Oh, yeah, that works. Just waiting for it to start up now. Hey, it worked. So what did we end up with here? Yeah, this looks pretty good. Oh, wow, this looks pretty good too. We don't need a display name in there, but yeah, the other stuff looks good. This has a little too much, and I think we can customize it somehow. We can like JSON ignore some properties. Let me see how that works again. What do we want to ignore? Percent life? I don't care about percent life. JSON ignore. So now is percent life going to be gone from here? Let's try that out. At what time is the mentoring starting? Yeah, in about 20 minutes. So I'm going to take a break somewhat soon and then come back, shift into mentoring mode. All right, percent life should be gone from this. Let's make sure it is. Yes, nice. Okay, so we just need to do that on all of this stuff. This is dead. Yeah, we don't need is dead. So yeah, that's it. What would you recommend a beginning engineer? Do you build and destroy or build good from scratch for deploying production grade apps? I think there are a lot of things floating around, like acronyms like this. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Dry, don't repeat yourself. And this, you ain't gonna need it. These three things should probably guide you when you're making an application. Like, in fact, this is probably the most important one. And the way I would translate this is like design or code for needs you have now. A lot of times you end up writing a system. Like let's say with this we're making essentially an RPG, right? What if we were like, what if we want to have like crafting in the game? Well, we don't want to have crafting in the game. So why would we write a bunch of code for something that we don't have a need for? Because even the stuff you know you have a need for right now, you might end up scrapping later. So why do the opposite and like, yeah, write code for something you know you don't need yet or that you might need in the future. This keep it simple stupid is like, okay, now let's say we know we need crafting. So we could make a system where it's like any number of inputs and any number of outputs and parallelistic crafting and whatever else. Or you could do what you know you have now and just be, or like a simple system and say, all right, you can craft one item at a time and it's always 2 inputs to 1 output, something like that. These properties, I think, are things that they're not even necessarily coding, but this will guide you in making any application, whether you're a junior or a senior. And this will save you like buckets of time compared to anything else you might be doing. Because if you think about it, like I said, like if you coded a crafting system, who knows how long that might take, like a week, 2 weeks. That's a massive amount of time saving by just not doing it because you don't need it. So yeah, I think realistically, it might sound like, all right, that's all obvious. That makes sense. But really, when you see people work on personal projects, a lot of times they tackle fun features. And a lot of times they go really deep with those things because they're fun. And by the end of it, they've made like a perfect loot system and they've got no game to go with it. And it's like, okay, well, if you just wanted to have fun and you just want to learn, that's totally fine. But if you wanted to produce a project or a product, that's not how you would approach it. Code for needs now, that makes so much more sense. But guess what? Our management just wants to show our CEO that we're improving. Well, with a big company, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're getting paid to do a job. So if they tell you, hey, go, whatever, redo the lighting in this room that we have in the office, and they're still paying you your salary, it's like, yeah, well, that's their priorities. If you have no real stake in the company, I'd say it's a different situation. I was talking more about like if you control the charter for everything. All right, so I got the basics of this. Yeah, it's money wasted, but I mean, there is no big company that doesn't waste some amount of money. Even the ones that try to be frugal, I think there's still just projects that go on for too long and people who probably should be fired and aren't fired, and all of those things kind of amount to wasted money, but there's some that's expected. I gotta write a where I left off thing here because this is all just pretty intense. So where I left off, I wanted to serialize entities by their components. So I was getting that to work. I think the next step is to deserialize those components, which may be a little bit tough. So I have to convert by name into a class. Maybe we can get by name. Is that possible? Maybe we could try getting that. Yeah. Hey, Kayak. One take of dry I quite like, even if I haven't been completely able to apply it, is to not repeat knowledge. Don't worry about copying once or twice some code, as long as if changing that code in one place has no impact on the other places. Yeah, I think the way I kind of look at it is, if you copy and paste code, it's probably an opportunity to refactor something. Not always. Maybe you've got some simple thing that just, needs to be used in two different places. But even something like, let's say you apply a distance formula in two parts of the code. It's like, maybe you should make a distance function and then just use it in both spots. And sometimes it's not worth the hassle. Sometimes it is worth the hassle. And I think this is another thing, like I said, as I've become more senior as an engineer, I realize that tech debt is a very important thing to consider, which is sometimes you are okay incurring it because of the savings, whatever that means. Imagine this, you have a demo tomorrow that you have to give. They're to key investors for your company or your product. Like, who cares if you write your code poorly? It's tomorrow. You have to finish it. So yeah, tech debt is like, it's almost desirable in that case. You should just hack whatever you can together to get something to work. But now let's say you're building a project or some product and you've got 2 years and you're like, if I make a decision now to cut a corner, then I'll be paying for this the next 2 years. It's like, well, no, then you should probably avoid it. It's complicated here. I would like to hear more, but I also need to probably start pivoting into mentoring soon, which means taking a break pretty soon. Yeah, not apply them religiously. You know, this is something that I hear of almost any creative endeavor, which is something along the lines of like, learn when to break the rules. And this applies to practically everything: art, music, coding. There are, rules in place, and rules serve as guidelines for beginners who, if you can't hang on. If you can't differentiate, if you can't understand why something is the case, then these rules are like, well, it's a pretty good thing to just follow this. And then yes, at some point you learn, okay, here's when I can write bad code. Here's when I can copy paste. Here's when I can, not abide by traditional music theory. You do live mentoring? Yeah. And that'll be starting in about 15 minutes. Peripheral, thanks for subbing. Welcome. I don't think I've seen you before. Okay, I'm going to take a break. Here's generally what's going to happen. It's 10:44. 11 is when mentoring starts. So it's going to be break and then kind of a transition period, and then we'll start it. Everyone created functions, so then the cache burn became the problem. Oh, are you talking about, I think, Kaza's video? The N64 ones? Because that guy is bonkers. He's so good. Who are we talking about today? Peter, check out the mentoring command, which has the schedule and the past videos. All right, I'm going to take a break because otherwise I'm never going to actually leave my computer. So is it jump time? It's jump time. Hey everybody. Figured I will stand for mentoring. All right. Close the game. Hey Rima, how are you doing? All right, mentoring prep. Step 1, read document, 3D extended. Yeah. So session 6, July. Oh, this is wrong. It's July 3rd. Oh, and then I actually learned a nice little trick yesterday, which is stop writing things in VS Code. Just write them here. All right, so what I like to do is I like to look through last session's notes. I take notes as we are meeting. They're basically like a transcript of the whole session, and just figure out what do I want to follow up on. And this also helps the mentees. I think the mentees all look through these notes and are like, oh yeah, that's what we talked about. Yeah, let's see what I forgot since last time. All right, going great. Long weekend. Looking forward to it. Family and friends. A lot of stress recently. Yeah, I think stress has been a common point with actually pretty much all the mentees. Sailing trip. Plan another vacation for fall. Another sailing trip. All right. Feeling is done. Recharge. Would have loved another week. Needs 2 weeks to detach. Massage is great. Booked another for late May. Oh yeah. How did your other massage go? How did your other massage go? These are the important career mentoring questions I'm asking. Coming up is a 2-week all-inclusive holiday in Turkey. Oh yeah, I never asked when that was. 6th week of vacation will be at the end of the year. 2nd week of that will continue next year. Yeah. Did you go to Turkey already? If so, how was it? Yeah, because this session when we met was May 8th. So it's been a couple of months. And that's because I had to take my own vacation. All right, how is it settling back into work? A lot on his plate, lots of tasks that were left for his manager that are now on Peter. There's also the ongoing project. It was generally expected. I feel like you can detach from work when it ends for the day. Depends on the day. No stress outlet at the moment. Yeah, I think this is the most important thing. You mentioned that you have no stress, or had at least, no stress outlet during the last session. Went to school for software engineering and game dev, got frustrated, left to work in the trades. Quick question, can functions get too large? Is there a point when you should create sub-functions for readability? Yeah, welcome, first of all. And again, thanks for the sub. Yes, functions can get too large. There are a couple of concerns there, and I'm going to go into this super quickly. One is if it's not readable for a human, it's almost certainly too large. Two is if you need that functionality, like you need a portion of it in another place, then you should probably split it out. And 3 is if a function is ever, there are other problems like a performance issue or something where calling this function incurs like a 10 millisecond cost or something like that. In general, just make lots of small functions. That's a pretty good rule of thumb. Everything he's tried to do isn't working. He has some theories on why. Nothing tangible he can act on. Feels that something is holding him back from the things he should do. Yeah. And I want to also talk about a tenant system for this. Mentioned it to Rami for being nice to himself. All right, did a lot of recruiting interviews to fill some open positions. This was all in the last month. Started out with shadowing, felt his instincts were aligning, hired 3 candidates, and some positions are still available. 2 have yes, do they work for you? 1 is on a project. How much input is that project taking from you? 25% last time, less now. You'll delegate most of the work. Yeah, I want to also ask this general question of like, how do you feel in this new world of management? It sounds like you've been rising to the challenge, but I still want to check in. And how much are you working on what used to be the 25% project? Yeah. This was an interesting little thing that happened last time too, that Peter had said that he learned that this person he was delegating to could handle tasks because Peter had to delegate tasks. And it was only through that this person was able to kind of show that they're able to handle it. But if Peter had been able to handle the tasks, maybe it would not have been proven that way. Not quite sure. Manager asked if he could transition into project management instead of being a product owner. Oh yeah, how did the transition go to or is going to project management from product ownership? You're taking too much time. What is project management at your company? Working on a small product within the big enterprise software. Project management would be directing the vision and roadmap for the enterprise software instead of the small one. Yeah. How do you feel about this? Sounds like there's more scope. He's excited about this. Fits more with eventually wanting to be CTO. Would love to have a few more months to settle into the new role. Is this good busy or bad busy? Stress is leading to him not taking on the project management role yet. Needs to figure out how to manage all of this. Hasn't gotten feedback yet on when he's expected to take the new role. Yeah, but now 2 months has passed, so I'm guessing things are different. So I'll have to ask about that. What's currently taking up your time that could be delegated? Sales conversations. Yeah, but that was like a one-off thing, I think. Yeah. Other chunk is meetings on the small project, hoping that the peer and the new lead developer can take over in a few weeks. Yeah, so let's find out if that was the case. Whoops. No, I just accidentally closed Chrome. No. Oh, wait, was it me or was it Chrome that broke? All right, let's get chat back. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, this. Did the sales meetings go well? Are they done? Are you able to delegate more of your work? Figure out who the stakeholders even are for this decision. I remember there being like four project managers who need support. They want it very quickly. Yeah. He's a planner. Try to find certainty or live with the uncertainty. Doesn't know what they'd say to make him less stressed. Stress is more about transitioning to the new role. All right, what's different? I'm gonna have to speed this up a little bit. Oh yeah, I had asked to lean on people. I had mentioned leaning on people. Did you try that out? Did it work? Blasting music, doing sports, meeting friends and family. Isn't motivated though to do them, yeah. When you said you weren't too motivated to work on the stress after work. Lean on others, first class, try removing things. Extra, so he's working on the app. Yeah. Did you drop the, what was this? Last 20% of your app. I thought about this a little bit more too. Launching is very stressful. Pulled in too many directions, don't have an outlet. Okay. Yeah, cool. So I got a bunch of things. Now we got to actually do the rest of the transition stuff that we have here. By the way, peripheral, I'm happy to answer some of these questions more after the mentoring. So I'm not trying to totally push this off. This is a very, like, what's the word? I don't know, urgent time. Okay, click studio mode, start the camera, switch to mentoring. Done. All right, then open Yada. Got that. Like I said, I need to automate this at some point. This year is just, I think it's going to be crazy for me. So there's not a lot of extra time to do stuff. And in the time I do have, I'm focusing on Skeleseller mostly. So things like automating this section, it's something that I'm like, I want to do it. I have to do it. I'm just not finding the time to do it. All right, put Discord on the left monitor. Got it. Go to 3D extended. Got it. Did all that. Okay, so now I just need to change the title and the today command. Although no one really reads the today command, I guess. Peter, session number 6. Let's change that. Oh wait, I like copying the old title over here. And then delete Godot, C sharp, C sharp. Cool. And then the today command. That's all we have. Then we can start this thing. Where did today command go? Here it is. All right, today is Wednesday, mentoring Peter. This is their 6th session together. No, I mean, it was kind of a bad time, but yeah. All right, I think we are all set. I'm going to call Peter. We are right on time. It's 11 o'clock. Hey, Mac. All right, let me pop this out, hide this, click this. There.
Hi.
Hey, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, do you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One sec really fast. Okay, good. Yeah, just checking. All right, sorry about that. I have been like scrambling to get everything together, but
No
I think
worries.
we're mostly on time. Yep, 11 it says. So how are you doing?
Great, actually. Today I'm a little bit tired, but the last few weeks were better than the last time we spoke.
Yeah.
And yeah, also I mentioned my vacation. My vacation I went to. I had 2 weeks off and went to Turkey, which was really nice and helped a lot with relieving stress. And yeah, I feel refreshed, and I'm already settled in back in the job, and yeah, it was a great time. Yeah, I feel great.
Sorry, one sec. I was in the wrong scene. I apologize for that, chat. Thank you for letting me know. Peter, I'm glad you feel great. I'm also glad because last time you had talked, you said you went on that boating trip. It was for a week, and you said a week wasn't long enough, and that you'd already learned in the past that 2 weeks is long enough to disconnect. I feel bad because now you have July through most of December to
Yeah.
without vacation, right? So, are you concerned about that at all? Are you concerned that there's
Actually, I have 2 more weeks in, I think it was October,
oh,
beginning October and September. So it's not as long of a break without holidays. And yeah, but otherwise I would be concerned. Yeah.
okay, yeah. That's great. I thought it was just going to be this for the rest of the year, and I think that would be
Oh,
pretty tough. But
yeah.
beginning of October means you've got about like 3 more months. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, so I'm glad things are going a lot better.
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing the rest of this stuff. So I'll let you keep going here.
Yeah, so I prepared some bullet points. I hope I answered all your questions along the way, but feel free to interrupt or challenge. Yeah, so I mentioned I booked another massage for
Mhm.
myself and my girlfriend, and yeah, it was so great. We booked another one for July. Uh, yeah, also we did one in Turkey, which was a whole nother experience, and yeah, we got the taste of it, and really like to get massages every
So
now and then. Yeah.
so I want to ask you because you said that the first one was this year in your entire life.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's relaxing? Is it helping cut through some of the work stress, or is it just a nice experience that's, it's just nice to go to?
I feel it's relieving stress. I don't know how much though. It's a nice experience, and you get to disconnect. You get out of the house. We get connected with some good food. And next to the massage where we go to is an Chinese restaurant, and yeah, it's an whole thing, and we really like it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for if you're stressed to almost just distract yourself if nothing else has worked.
Mhm.
And this fills some amount of time, maybe 2 hours when you
Yeah.
include food or travel or something like that. And yeah, for that time, if you're not thinking about it, then that could work for you.
Yeah.
So good to hear. And yeah, Turkey was nice too. Let's see what you wrote here. Water rafting, muddy
Yeah,
buggy
so
tour. Yeah.
we planned a complete chill holiday, and I wanted to relax only on the on the beach, and only swimming pool and yeah, don't leave the hotel. But after a few days, we got the itch to do something else, and yeah, we tried a bunch of stuff we never tried before. Went water rafting in the mountains there. Got a buggy tour, which was a complete experience.
Yeah.
We were completely flooded with mud, and yeah, we had to take a shower, multiple showers to get rid of the mud. It was really nice, and yeah, we also got a scuba diving tour in the sea. We both have diver licenses, and the last time we went diving were 7 years back then, or something like that. So yeah, it was really nice to do that again.
Yeah, I think the part I'm focused on from what you said is that you originally went with this thought of that's it, I'm doing nothing. And
Yeah.
then after a few days, you felt like you not only could do stuff, but wanted to do stuff. So I think this is part of that whole 2 weeks to feel refreshed from
Yeah.
a vacation. And it's just almost without fail, there's some amount of time that goes into just disconnecting, just turning your brain off and being like, I am not going to work tomorrow. I'm not going in 3 days. I'm not going in 7 days. So yeah, I'm glad to hear it. And I think really probably the most important thing you took is something you've already learned from this, which is just book at least 2 weeks. And that way you got the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next part I mentioned, my stress levels are normalizing. I'm under a lot of stress still, but I feel I got a handle on it. It's not overwhelming anymore. It's yeah. After coming back from holiday, it wasn't as stressful. I think I was in a yeah in a stress phase after taking the exam for my role, which wasn't lifted off my shoulders. And the vacation was really great for this. And after that, obviously I have a lot of stress, but it's easier for me to disconnect and yeah, do something in the evening, which wasn't possible before the holiday.
Okay. And now what do you mentioned part of what you attribute this to is the exam is no longer hanging over you. How much is just you growing accustomed to the role? I haven't heard about the project management stuff yet either,
Yeah.
but yeah, how much is the changing role versus you changing?
Um, I have a lot of stuff
Yeah.
to talk about to the
Okay.
product management side and what's influencing that. But I think it's a combination of getting back from vacation and being in a role where I know more or less what's coming up in the week.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Obviously, there is a lot of new stuff hitting me from a week-to-week basis, but it's not. It's nothing that it doesn't feel overwhelming anymore.
Okay. I think that is, this may sound dismissive. I don't mean it dismissively, but that's the baseline for any job. Should not be overwhelming, should not be a crushing amount of stress. So with transition periods, you go into that phase for a little bit and then, hopefully get out of it quickly enough. It sounds like you're there. I don't want to jump too far ahead though. So let's just keep moving down the list because I will eventually talk about the project management stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so
Oh wait, no, what? Drop the daily coding. Hold on. Talk about that.
yeah, right. So yeah, it's I think I have written down it a lot further down. But yeah, something in our last session I mentioned I'm on the last 20% for the app.
Yeah.
Before releasing it, before launching, and I was so focused on releasing it before the vacation holiday. And after our mentoring session, I threw out that plan and gave myself some space and basically more time. But I wasn't going to drop it altogether. And after coming back from holiday and the first few weeks after holiday back on the job, I was so refreshed. I coded and I finished the last 20% more or less. There are still some minor things I want to do, but it was in a state where I said, this is releasable. I can publish it, and let's see where that goes. And I released it on iOS and Android, and basically didn't code afterwards. It was I have a lot to do on that front, but it was a point where I was able to stop myself, and the time I gained through not coding in the evening is used for meeting friends, going out, or basically relieving more stress. And dropping that routine was hard, but I now see how much pressure I put on myself while doing so.
Okay, so let me write some of this stuff down. I left our mentoring session and I talked to my wife, at the end of our work days, and I say, "Oh, here's what we talked about." And I'm like, "Peter is nuts." I'm like, Peter said that releasing an app is not stressful, and I'm like, I didn't get it, and I was thinking about it. This is now 2 months ago, and I really like what you said here. You realize how much pressure you were putting on yourself, because your viewpoint originally, and I say that you're nuts endearingly. I don't mean that you're actually crazy, but you had said that coding was a stress outlet for you and has typically been that in the past for you, and that there was just so much going on. And being able to drop something is daunting, because in the back of your mind, you've always got to wonder, what if I don't pick this back up? What does this mean to me? What does it mean to drop it? Is that a failure? There's a whole lot of questions that raises. With this, did you happen to catch the mentoring session I did with Raimi just in the last week?
The last half, I didn't. I wasn't able to watch the first half.
Okay. Okay. Well, one of the things he talked about is he had a Duolingo streak of something like 140 days. And he was like, I want to get that to a year, because for whatever reason, a year was meaningful. And I said, as much as possible, if you can, just drop it, because think of how long you'll feel bad for. It was like a few minutes. Well, he sent me a message privately and he said, I did drop it. And he also did some other things as follow-ups from that. My point in all of this is, I think it's good for you to analyze what's going on in your life and what can shift. And you are clearly at the point where it's not so much what more can I do, it's what less can I do. And so cutting out this thing and getting back to it when you feel like I have the time, I have the energy, I think is really important. So there's that I wanted to say. The other thing was you should post your app in show and tell on Discord. I'd like to see it. And then the final thing was, just out of curiosity, what still needs to be done on the app?
I have a backlog on stuff. Minor things. It's nothing preventing the user to use the app. Sign in with Google doesn't work, which is, I think, a nice addition to the app to make it more round and more complete. And it feels more like a finished product, and an onboarding tutorial for users. But both of those features are things where I say, nobody is prevented to use the app without them. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, there are people I've seen in sort of the same position as you, where they have career aspirations, they have personal projects, and then they have a family and a life and everything else outside of those things. And I think that it's always the personal projects that take the back burner, and I think that's how it should be. And that might seem disappointing, but I think this is one of those things where it's like, you might not come back to this for 3 months. And when you do, maybe you think, I don't have the zeal that I originally had to incorporate sign in with Google. And that's totally fine. So I attribute at least some of this to the vacation you took, because it gives you that perspective, that time away. So again, just applause for figuring all of this stuff out. Great job thinking through all of this. The vacation probably also provided some space that was needed to think about these things. Yeah. Okay.
Although I will admit it feels wrong at some times to don't code in the evening.
Yeah. But think about this. This is a weird way to say things. You are like a machine that needs to be maintained in certain ways. And if you are coding in the evening and it's leading to you feeling overwhelmed at your job, then you become ineffective at basically everything that you do. And that's what you were saying before your vacation. You came home and you just didn't have an outlet for your stress. So it just accumulated. And that led to 4 days of sitting on the beach, which is great, until you finally were like, okay, now I can do other stuff. So yeah, I think this was a good time for you to take a vacation.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then wow, looking at houses to buy.
Yeah, it isn't a topic for myself the past 3 years on off looking for houses, and yeah, basically there popped up an opportunity in the neighborhood of family and friends, family in this case, and yeah, we were looking at one house and it was so promising I couldn't turn it down. But yeah, I like to think about the house because it's another disconnect and gets you out of the house and into new thought patterns. And I was browsing through Pinterest basically for new bathroom trends, which wasn't the place I've seen myself into.
You said something along the lines just now of like too hard to pass up. Did you put an offer in? Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Oh, you did. Was it?
Basically, yeah. So it's an oh boy, English terminology for the housing market. There's one person selling the house for the owner for the house. Basically,
Yeah.
there's a middleman, and they are collecting prospects currently, and I've signed in as a prospect, but now we have to wait for the owner to decide who the potential buyer will be.
Got it. Well, good luck. I
Thank
think
you.
it's we just talked about transition periods, and if you heard any part of the Ramy mentoring session, he just bought a place and he's in the
Mhm.
process of renovating and of selling his last place, and this has taken the entirety of his time.
Yeah.
So if this does go through, then I would say like don't pick up coding again for the next 2 months until that October vacation, and then maybe that can serve as a reset or something.
Yeah, so the current owner will be staying in the house for the next few months. So I will be able to transition into the home beginning of next year. So it's a long transition period, but yeah, I
Gotcha.
wasn't able to pass off the offer.
Yeah. No, and I think that's great. I hope it goes through, and I hope you like it. You've now mentioned twice in this session something that I don't think I've heard you say in previous sessions, which is that there were a couple of things that have been getting you out of the house. You you,
Um,
you work in an office, right?
no,
Oh,
I
you
work
don't.
from home. This is my work setup. I'm working from, yeah.
Okay, I
My
probably.
so
Oh, go on.
I'm hired as a remote employee for a Berlin company, and I'm basically working remotely, and I'm about 5 or 6 hours away from the office.
Okay, got it. Um, the reason I mention this is because, for one, language is very interesting because it can give hints as to what people are thinking about or how they're thinking
Mhm.
about it, and this might have been some of the cause of your stress earlier without me realizing it to be able to point it out. But this is one of the things I see from remote employees, like a decent amount, which is if you are in the same environment all the time, you get into certain routines, and those routines can
Mhm.
sometimes be bad routines. And yeah, you mentioned getting out of the house. So this is something I'll put a star next to for now. It's not something I have any specific recommendations about, but next time you're feeling stressed, just consider how much am I getting out and what am I doing
Mhm.
and how am I leaving my home office?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right. So transitioning into the more career stuff for the mentoring session here.
Yeah.
Uh, the past few months, except the vacation, were mainly spent in Berlin. I had a bunch of meetings I had to attend to. I basically traveled for a complete week to Berlin, which means Monday arrival and Friday back. And there were a bunch of on-site meetings I was looking forward to. For example, a big summer event where the whole company comes together, and yeah, it's called business meeting to somehow um, be able to present this as a business opportunity, but basically it's getting food and drinks
Yeah.
afterwards. Yeah.
Very funny that
Uh,
they call that a business meeting because I feel like in America, at least when I've been to these things, they just say, look, this is a morale event or it's a fun time. And there's no euphemism around it.
It was called a business meeting, and they were really strict about this. You weren't allowed to call it a summer event or a
Wow.
party.
Yeah, there's got to be
Yeah.
some reason for that.
Uh,
But wait, so you're
but
saying,
upper management corporate was the reasoning. Yeah.
but there's got to be some deeper, like, is there a legal thing where if they call it a fun event, then they need to invite everybody or something? Or
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, so you went to Berlin. You said most of the last 2 months.
Yeah, I think it was there for 3 weeks after the vacation. So the past month I was 3 weeks in Berlin. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite a lot. When does that schedule change?
Basically now.
Oh, okay.
For now I'm done with the Berlin trips. I try to go to Berlin for about 1 week a month. I try to. I think it's really great to connect with the peers and especially with the direct reports. Yeah. So I will be there again, but 3 weeks in 5 weeks were too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was too less free time, too work related for those weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because you're away from your home and whatever comforts or
Hmm.
friends or family that you're used to seeing. Because 5 to 6 hours is too much to say, okay, it's Wednesday night, I'm going to drive back.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So you've been going to Berlin roughly a quarter of the time in the last year or so before this?
I would say a little less, but yeah,
Okay.
around there. Yeah.
Yeah. And while you're there, everything is fine as long as it is kept to that, 1 week every maybe 5 weeks kind of schedule. Okay. Yeah. So no major problems there. All right.
Yeah, I know I need the weekend afterwards to disconnect, but especially if the evenings are long. So when you're in the office and there are some peers there, you don't look at the clock. You don't have to go to anywhere except the hotel back to the hotel. And yeah, so I have long hours when I'm in Berlin. More around the 10-hour mark, and afterwards talking to some colleagues or going to drinks with them. It's long working days, and I know I need weekends off of that.
Okay. A couple of interesting things here. One, you mentioned earlier long hours. You were just talking about because you happen to be in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Two, the 10 hours a day in itself. So I had a manager at one point who at some point in time did something like this. He commuted
Mm-hmm.
from 2 hours away, stayed in an apartment from Monday to Thursday, and then went back on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently this person just like stayed in the office from 7 a.m. until like 9 p.m. or something. Because when you're away from your normal life, you think, well, I traveled here for work. I'm just going to dump everything into work. But then you're the one who pays the cost for that after you've gotten back home.
Mm-hmm.
So does that 10 hours feel like too much? I know you said the time kind of flies by while you're there with coworkers.
It depends. So I try to go to some evening event always if I'm there. So meeting some old colleagues which left the company some time back, or going to bowling alleys with some colleagues. But you are always surrounded with colleagues, and
Yeah.
you tend to talk about work, and it depends really strongly on the company I'm with. If it's a disconnect after work, or if it feels like working more than the 10 hours.
Yeah, I see. So are there ever any days where you are out, your colleagues are just talking about work and you just think, I've had it. That's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um,
It's hard to find an exit for those hang-ups. Basically, who's waiting for me if I'm staying in a hotel, right?
yeah.
I'm not going early because I have something to do, but because there is nothing. I'm going back to the hotel and laying in bed. So it's hard to disconnect and going away from the group.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the sort of uniqueness of this situation is it's hard for you to then make friends outside of this environment if you're there, about 1/5 of the time, something like that.
Yeah.
With that said, nothing makes you go out. You don't necessarily need an excuse other than, hey, I just want to spend a quiet night in or whatever, go explore Berlin more yourself. Because what's concerning to me is, I know you said this is under control and everything, but 10 hours a day is a lot. And you have gotten to the point where you're like, all right, I need to decompress on weekends. So then what happens if, you're moving houses and you don't have the weekend, but you would just come back from Berlin and yeah, this is another one of those points where I try to watch this and I don't know what it would feel like to leave after 8 hours or after a normal amount of time. Would you just be going back to the hotel? Would you be bored? So yeah, it's just something to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on this and time investment. I'll just say no need to have a real excuse for not going to something. Although I'm sure you know that. Let's see. So yeah, that summer event, was it just one day?
Basically, it was one whole day, and to call it a summer event and basically allow for us to stay in a hotel overnight. They had to do some event in the morning, and it was basically a speech from our CEO, and we were afterwards free to go and travel back home.
Okay, yeah. And this is something you've been to before this as well, right? The business meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was the third time I attended one.
I see. I think I agree with you. I think this is a really good time to meet other people. And I think it humanizes all the people you work with. It can be easy to get frustrated when you see just text messages or emails come through. And then you finally see this person and you're like, oh, wow, how was I getting upset? Or there's nuance that you can finally clarify.
Yeah.
So for that, it's good. Do you ever find yourself, and I don't mean this as a leading question, just purely out of interest, do you ever find yourself thinking, I would prefer to just somehow live in Berlin or have the job be here?
I would love for the company to be here. I don't want to move to Berlin. It's not even a question I would consider.
Yeah.
I don't like the city at all. But if the company was closer, I would try to attend the office for 2 days a week, maybe, and would stretch the time I get to decompress, basically.
Yeah. There is a lot to what you just said. And I think we're in a very unusual time in humanity because how many pandemics has anyone lived through? Like 1, 2, and we just did live through one. And you started at the company during the pandemic and you got used to remote work, but you had to because there was no other way around it. And now we're in this time where it's post everybody being in remote work. And in America, especially, we're seeing companies pull back employees into the office. And some people are complaining, some people are happy about that. I've seen people who, as soon as the office doors opened again, like right toward the end of COVID, they were like, I have to go back. I can't focus at home or I need the social interaction. And I myself went through something, which I'm pretty sure you had seen, that whole post Google video of, I just started going nuts. I just thought like, I'm not talking to people. And I never thought that about myself because I've been streaming from this setup and able to talk to people online and everything. So this could be a component to the stress that you have, and traveling 6 hours is not the best solution for this. And yet you're at this company and you're well positioned for growth. So there's no real way of working around this here, but I know you said you'd eventually like to be CTO someday. It would be maybe something to consider at a more local company, especially because as you grow, that face time might be expected more.
And I have seen this race in the last few months as well. So I feel like I have to attend more meetings in Berlin, and especially with leading people and managing people, you try to be the person available, and it's easier to connect with them in face-to-face conversations than across the internet. Yeah, I agree, but at the current time, I would say it's manageable, and it's something I realized as of past few months that I have to be very I I have to watch what I'm doing and how much time I spend where for my own fulfillment and for the world fulfillment.
Yeah. And this goes back to the getting out of the house thing, which again, I feel like was a blind spot for me. So I apologize for, but I think these things are related. You need people, you need work fulfillment, you need friends, family, like all of these things come together. And if they're not in the right balance, it throws everything off. So
Mhm.
I also agree. I don't think there's much you could or should do about this right now. Like you said, can't move to Berlin, don't want to move to Berlin, can't have the company just randomly move to you. And quitting the company, I think, would be a bad idea given all of the opportunities you have right now.
Yeah.
But these are the kinds of things where if I say, hey, Peter, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You might say I'd be steering more toward a local company such that 2 years from now, an opportunity arises and you say, you know what, I have already planted this seed a while ago. So now I can start to consider it more. So that's more why I bring this up right now,
Mhm.
because I think that's where the healthy balance would be struck for you, given what you've said. So
Yeah.
yeah. Is there something like a local company in the long term? 5+ years. Yeah. Yeah, or whenever this company kind of stops serving your needs, right? Right now, I think you're definitely on the growth trajectory. You just got the leadership position, you got a pay raise with that, and
Mhm.
probably in the next year or two, given how things have been going, that'll just keep kind of growing. At some point, it'll level off, and you'll need to either push for it or find something else. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So managers party.
Yeah, right. So I got an invitation 1 week back, 2 weeks back maybe, from my direct manager, which is inviting all managers in the company, including or CEOs, to attend a basically barbecue party at their house on a Saturday, which is really kind of them, and I really like the idea of doing that. But the whole I have to drive for 6 hours there is kind of daunting on me. We arranged 2 nights over there, so I'm basically staying with my girlfriend at a house from my colleague for 2 days, which was the only way I was able to convince myself to go there. But I know how important this meeting will be, and yeah, was something some random invitation I wanted to mention here.
Yeah. I have a few questions. One, are they calling this a business barbecue, or
I
is it
know.
just okay?
The
Two,
charades is off.
good. So two, is this what you always do? You drive to Berlin when you go?
Normally I go by train,
Oh, no. Okay.
and but for holidays or yeah, basically weekends, I like to go by car to have more freedom when when I leave, and yeah.
Okay. Uh, and then when is this? Because I didn't see the when.
In 2 weeks, the 19th, the Friday is the 19th, I think,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then for the weekend, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I ask that is because I know you just said that 3 weeks out of the last 5 weeks in Berlin is too much. But
Mhm.
given that you would typically go once every 5 weeks or so, I
Yeah.
wondered if you could lump it in with that. And then that way you're staying for the whole week, other than your girlfriend would need to find a way to get there. But then she could take the train maybe.
Since nobody is holding me accountable for how many times I go to Berlin, I will convince myself that this was my trip to Berlin and try to avoid Berlin for the next month.
I see. Okay. No, that works. And then the last consideration I would say is, do you need the extra freedom? If you're staying at a colleague's place, do they have a car and maybe they could drive? You're going to the barbecue anyway.
So I don't know how much you know about the German train system, the Deutsche Bahn. It's not a fun trip to go to Berlin. It was you have always delay, and I have two turnovers. So stepping over, going from one train to another.
Mhm.
I don't know how to call it. Yeah, and it's not a fun trip to get there, and you always arrived stress there, and hence I want to go with car.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So it's not necessarily about being able to drive within the city. It's more about, I just want to make it there and not have
Yeah,
to
right.
transfer. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I will say this completely just irrelevant note. The stereotype of Germans in America is that they're very efficient and like well organized. And so to hear what you just said about the train is a surprise to me.
But it's a meme which is ever growing. The German trade system is a mess. It
Okay.
really is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll have to keep that in mind if I ever end up
awful.
on a train in Germany. Okay, but yeah, I think this is good. This is another one of those things where you're now at a level where you're not just going to these events for fun. There is a
Yep.
networking component to this, whether you acknowledge it or not. You are talking to other people in a setting outside of work. There will be work discussions. That is the one
Mhm.
common thread for everybody. And it's what people always fall back to at any social gathering of work
Yeah.
people. So I see this as a growth opportunity, although, you know, a
Mhm.
minor one, but it's the kind of thing where, yes, you kind of schmooze a little, you talk to people, you get to know them. So
Yeah.
yeah, these events are for more than just fun at your level. Networking. Yeah. All right. Too many meetings.
Yeah, so my calendar and my work calendar is a mess. It's completely flooded with half-hour blocks of meetings, and you have the feeling after doing 8 hours of meetings that you didn't achieve anything. And I was prepared for this. I was going into this role and knowing there's coming a lot of meetings on myself. But I wasn't expecting that flood of meetings. And I tried to still be able to attend the project meetings of the ongoing project I was delegating earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not able to attend those meetings anymore. And I'm very selective of the meetings I attend.
Mm-hmm.
Some invitations I get as it would be nice to be there, but it's not necessary for me to be there. And I got really selective, and yeah,
Yeah, I think this is one of those just necessities. You are invited to more than you can go to, and it's not like they're expanding beyond the 40 hours a week,
Mhm.
but they're scheduled concurrently, right? So you
Yeah.
can't go to all of them and you need to pick. And then the other thing you mentioned is something I hear pretty commonly, especially from people who become managers, which is that you spend your day in meetings, but you do have individual work you need to do. And if you're in
Mhm.
meetings all the time, when do you do them? So this is the sort of key theme that I think we've seen for you across the mentoring sessions is you will always want to take on a lot. You'll always want to hold yourself to a high standard. And I think a lot of the solution is always going to come from carving away. So how do you take things out of that equation? And meetings are no different from that. So, you know, kudos to you for realizing that you might need to cut out even more than you already think so that you don't expand into more work time. So do you find yourself, not when you're in Berlin, you said, yeah, sometimes there are 10-hour days. Do you find yourself when you're at home working longer than a normal workday?
Yeah, but not by a lot. And I'm very cautious of not doing so. I try to not be the kind of guy that lets down the pen after exactly 8 hours.
Yeah.
But I so if I had to put a number on it, I am working 8.5 hours a day maybe, and all the overtime I do make, I tend to work off on the Fridays, which is I think it's a working system for me.
Yeah. So wait, just to be clear, you're saying you do a little less on Friday to make up for the extra half hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, yeah. So
Obviously, not always possible. There are 9 hour, 9.5 hour meeting days in between, but they are spare.
yeah,
There.
and I think that's bound to happen. It's like I think avoiding crunch time for developers is something that's really hard to do completely. And it's like if
Mhm.
I work at a job and 2 days a year they say, "Hey, can you stay late?" I'd be like, "Yeah, that's fine." If it was every weekend, I'd say that is not possible. I'm not doing that. Um, with meetings, so when do you find that you're able to do your individual work in the day? Is it morning, lunchtime, afternoon, or just after work hours?
In between meetings. If I don't attend some meetings, I have my focus time, if I had to put a number on it, is really early in the morning. So around 6 o'clock, where everyone's still sleeping. I like to do my work there. But if I start working is so early, I'm not done after 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
I have to stay at to 4 p.m., sometimes 5 p.m., and working from 6 to 5 is too much.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think this is like I said, the classic struggle of leaders, managers, and
Mhm.
and then some roles that are naturally in more meetings, which is typically, yes, product ownership, project management. So I think it's the same advice as usual, which is cut out what you can, delegate what you can, and really try to think what is very important. So I think your selectivity will continue to increase a little bit to the point
Mhm.
where you're carving out just an extra half hour here and there. And
Yeah.
by the way, this is one of those things where you mentioned this with delegating that old product that you were working on that had been about 25% of your time
Mhm.
and was waning. And now you said you're not in the meetings anymore. By allowing someone else the space to step up, they did. And now I'm assuming it's being run pretty well. Do you have any
Yeah.
complaints?
I don't. I still attend the political meetings. As I mentioned,
Yeah.
there are some difficulty with with the customers, but yeah, they're doing a great job. I can't complain, and I have another project which they tried to load up on myself, and I'm completely delegating this project to another person, and works fine.
Okay, good, 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 good. Now, a while ago, you gave the very diplomatic answer when I said something like, "Hey, this sounds like you need to delegate more." You said, "Yes, that's something I need to work on." Do you
Mhm.
feel like you've been able to work on it? Is there still stress or anxiety around delegating to other people?
Um, I get itchy hands if the discussions go in a technical direction. There are some. Obviously, I want to become CTO, and some technical decisions I would like to make, and it's itching my hands to do so. But otherwise, I'm getting better. I'm not great at it. I think I need to work on what information, how to transfer information I gained to the one I'm delegating to, so such that they can work by themselves. I feel like there's too much follow-up meetings I'd have to attend to, so they can get all the information they need from me.
Yeah, and I think this is something you'll naturally learn in your
Mhm.
experience as a manager of when did I give someone just enough that I delegated, well, and that I didn't
Yeah.
need to be involved and that they had enough, and when do I need more? And that depends on the person, the project, the amount of work that needs to be done. So you'll calibrate all of those gauges for yourself as you delegate and then look
Mhm.
back and think, did that work out or did it not?
Yeah.
So and again, this is why I know I harp on this with everybody, but why transition periods are just such an important time to be mindful of, because if you know that you're in one, then you know that there's going to be more stress than normal, and then it will go away when a certain amount of time or an event has passed. So
Yeah.
yeah. So let's see. Feels wrong to not attend meetings with customers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so project management we haven't talked about. Is that? Oh,
Yes.
I see. It's at the very bottom. Got it.
Yeah, we can. I step ahead. No worries. So we talked about the product. My manager asking myself, me, to transition from my product owner role into the product manager role.
Yeah.
And after our meeting, I more or less forced my manager to get on weekly one-on-ones with myself.
Yeah.
Um, and the first thing I mentioned in some of those one-on-ones is how do I prioritize your wish to transition into product management versus my new role and filling out my new role. And we talked a bunch about this. Basically, I got he's okay to wait with transitioning into product management until, let's say, I feel ready, more or less until I get to there.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I have the backup for my manager, which I hadn't before, which was a lot of guesswork on my part, where my manager wants me to be and how I should prioritize my work. And after
Wait,
talking to him,
wait,
it was
wait,
much
back
clearer.
up one step. You said I'm.
Yeah.
It sounded like I'm the backup for my manager. What did you say?
No,
Oh, I misheard something. Sorry. Okay, carry on, carry on. I understand what you're saying now.
no. So
Yeah.
I got the backup from my manager. So what I the last time we spoke, my
Hmm.
manager hadn't told myself uh, what should I prioritize. If I should work on getting
Oh,
as fast as possible into
oh.
product
Oh,
management.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that your manager now agrees with your position,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah,
right,
cool.
right.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's the part I hadn't
Okay.
understood. Yeah, so your manager is on board with what your
Mhm.
plan is. Yeah. Um. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's good. Is there any pressure you feel from your manager to speed up this timeline?
Um, I know he wants as fast as possible, but there's no pressure he forces up on myself. I know his. Uh, he expects from me that I have. He basically told me in 12 months he wants me be in the product management role, but I have 12 months to get there, and I am positive I be able to get to there in 12 months. It's not a timeline I feel stressed about.
Yeah. I was gonna say when you mentioned there were, I think, 4 other product managers, and
Mhm.
they wanted things as soon as possible. And now you're saying it sounds like your manager did. And I thought, oh, this is gonna happen this summer or something. 12 months is, yeah, yeah. I think that's good.
Yep.
Now, the other thing that I
Yeah.
think is good is that you fought for what you needed. I know you phrased it as like you more or less forced your manager to meet with you, but identifying what your needs are versus what your wants are is important in all aspects of life,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to something like this. If you need support or you need a line of communication that you're not getting, then getting that thing is really important, or else you're probably duplicating work or doing different work. So it's one of those cases, like one of the situations I don't like being in is when I am a middleman for 2 other people. And I always think, why
Mhm.
not just connect those 2 other people?
Yeah.
Well, in this case, you needed your manager, you got your manager. So anyway, kudos to you for doing that. I think that's good.
Another benefit of taking those one-on-ones is I mentioned I'm not firm with a lot of business decisions,
Hmm.
and it's something I have to grow in. And he's the one I admire for his business expertise,
Yeah.
and hence I'm using those one-on-ones to get insights in um, working on contracts, doing more contract work for customers. So basically, we have to renew our 5-year contracts we have with our customers for next year. And that's the first time I work with legal, which is a whole nother experience. And yeah, I like getting those insights, and it helps me to get another perspective on my new role.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think this is one of the qualities I think of people who want to grow is that you find resources that help you grow. So, for example,
Mhm.
seeking out mentors, finding that your manager has good business experience, and then still working with them. At some point, your manager may say, "Okay, look, you've transitioned. Let's cut these one-on-ones back to once every 2 weeks or something." At which point,
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully that's fine. But yeah, keep looking out for opportunities like that where you think that person has something I
Mhm.
want, and then just go, take that skill, learn it
Yeah.
from them. I think, yeah, so that's this next bullet point that you talked about. I know you got a couple more here. So big misjudgment on your side of a report.
Yeah, let's go for that one. So obviously, I can't go too much into details, but I was pretty convinced of myself that I'm pretty good at people reading and judging people for what their intent is, and where they are heading and what they want. And I had one report. I know he was in a really tough space, previous management did him bad, more or less. And yeah, so I was, I don't know if scared is the real word, but nervous going into the first one-on-one with this report. And yeah, I had misjudged him completely. He was more on the lines of I need clear timelines, and I will figure this out. But as long and I was convinced of myself I had to provide this solution. I was not the one providing the solution, but he was sought out and yeah, basically figured out what his new role could be, and basically came prepared. And yeah, I didn't have to do anything, and it was a interesting learning experience to see that I misjudged someone so significantly.
Well, I think there are a couple parts of this. One is you only have inputs to go off of, and they're either inputs you see or inputs that other people tell you about. And what other people tell you is not always accurate. And what you see might only be a portion of the picture that gives you the totally wrong idea of what's happening. So, if I were to ask you, how could you reproduce this learning for the next potential person you see in this situation? What would you say?
Ask them.
Yeah. Okay. So,
It was. I mentioned to you that I did a lot of getting to know each other. First introduction meetings after I got the role, and he was one of those reports I was warned about previously, and I had false assumptions basically based off that.
yeah. Yeah. And this is the kind of thing where it always makes you wonder who is just not getting something basic, some resource that they need, some support that they need, and as a result are then flying off the rails. And it's hard because in this case you were told, hey, this person is someone to watch out for. It's not the kind of person then you'd say, all right, I'm going to dump even more time into this person so that I can help them out. So
Yeah.
it's really tough, and I think that's one of the challenges you need to be careful about. And yeah, like you said, just ask them in the future. And then, of course, you need to learn how to, do I trust their answer? Do I follow from other sources,
Obviously,
etc.
yeah.
But yeah. Wow, good. So you must have felt relieved. Do you know that this person, were they also frustrated and they felt relieved too from all of this?
I asked them for not directly for feedback, but I asked them how they feel at the end of our first. I think it was 2.5 hour talk with each other, and yeah, they felt relieved. They felt heard a long time ago. So that was his main criticism, that no one was talking to him, and he had a bunch of issues he wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
He was not looking for some solution for them, but he wanted to be heard and know that someone would care to listen. And yeah, it was a great feeling to be that person for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's great that you could be there for them. I also think this sort of points to how corporate culture can get a bit twisted at times. And as you rise in the ladder, you should be cognizant of this, because this person just wanted to feel heard. Who knows how many people they talked to in the past? Who knows what things happened?
Yep.
I don't know if you saw in chat earlier, Physitronic was just talking about how their boss just keeps doing something in a suboptimal way. And when they get feedback, they're just like, oh, I'm not doing that. And I just thought, what kind of mindset do you have to just not be open to feedback anymore? And at some point, that pervades the company culture, and then you have many people who aren't open to feedback, and that's when things become sort of toxic. So, as much as you can, try to push against that toxicity, and listen to people, help them out.
Yeah.
And so you've got this last thing here, working on some restructuring.
Yeah. Basically, there's some reports need to be in another position than they are currently, and I knew that going into that role and getting those reports. I knew the names who I was assigned to, and yeah, that is something I strive at doing: restructuring, organizing, and basically getting the right people in the right in one room to talk about how we could arrange those things. And I like doing this kind of work, and currently doing that restructuring work for some reports. Yeah.
That's good. I remember you telling me when you met with a bunch of these people that they felt they were in the wrong area.
Mhm.
So now, is this all kind of settled? Do you still have any reports that you feel want to be elsewhere?
Um, the restructuring is not happened yet,
Oh,
and
see.
it's hard for the one report I have to get a title in our current organization structure.
Mm-hmm.
And he's someone you have to provide a really strict and well structured working environment, and they strive in this. But they need boundaries, and it's hard in our current organization to define those boundaries, because it's currently working more on the lines of you do what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to define some of those positions we need to fill, but it's currently in the process of being defined.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's good. I also think, look, depending on this person's role, are they more junior, more senior, somewhere in the middle?
Senior
Okay.
principal.
Yeah. Uh, that person, I'll just write this here. That person, I think, needs to get used to that lack of clarity.
Yeah.
Only because I think that is what happens sort of later in someone's career. It's, hey, we don't even necessarily know what problems there are, let alone the
Mhm.
solutions for them. So go figure that out for yourself almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess some people don't necessarily thrive in that. And how much can be done to address that from other people? And is it their job to do it? So
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
I think in this, especially for him, it's possible to define those areas, and it is overdue to do that for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of this, it almost sounds like I could guess that this person's been at the company for a very long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, and and that back then things were clearer only because of the scale being different, and now they're unclear because not only has the scale changed, and so they're like, I liked the old world way of doing things,
Yeah.
and it was like, well, that was never really intended to, yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, couple of quick other things. We got about 4 minutes left, so apps and books. Focus on whatever you want to focus on.
Obviously, app is launched, no marketing, and I did an oopsie on Azure. I selected the wrong SQL database, which is basically $300 a month, where I should have selected only $30 a month database. Yeah, fun side note
Yeah.
on this side. Yeah.
Well, with the marketing thing, I know originally you talked about, this was now like 3 sessions ago, you talked about, oh, I want to get better at marketing. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you should necessarily do that. How do you feel about where things have landed? I'm guessing there aren't, tons of users necessarily, but yeah.
That's my issue. I told you that my goal with the app was getting at least a handful of users that love the app and love using the app, and I'm not there yet. I haven't found the user base where I would say someone is actively using the app. And I don't know if that is because some essential features are missing, or if the app is bad in their eyes. And my next step would be to do some surveys and getting those information out of them. But as I said, I'm on hold with my apps currently to deflate a little bit.
Yeah.
But that would be the next steps. Yeah.
I have a suggestion for this. So when I think marketing, I think of the more traditional things sometimes, advertising and, how do you write copy for these? But in this case, what might be nice, do you know any friends who fall into the target audience of your app who maybe don't know about your app? Yeah, because, okay, I was going to say one of the things I benefited from massively when I was working on Botland, and I'm going to do it again with the game I'm working on now, is to just get one of those friends over to your place, or it's a phone app, so I guess you could bring it to them, and just sit them down and say, just think out loud. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to interrupt throughout and tell me what you think about this stuff. And you'll know pretty quickly if you do 2 or 3 of these things that, okay, here's the common feedback. Oh, there's a pain point around this. I would have loved to sign in with Google. And you're like, oh, good, I should prioritize that.
Yeah.
Who knows? And then from that feedback, you can figure out, yeah, okay, sounds like this is pretty solid, or there are some known pain points. No rush on doing that, but that's a really good way of pursuing this because it doesn't feel so formal. And then, you know, buy friends a dinner or something. I'll write that down. I suggested having friends walk through the app and then ask them for their feedback as they go.
I want to do this so badly because it's finishing a chapter of 3D development of this app, and it feels wrong to pause this. On the other side, I know it does myself good to do so.
Yeah, I think this is one of those cases where I was kind of talking about this earlier with coding. There are times when you take on tech debt because you have a bigger need. Maybe there's a pressing deadline. And it'll feel bad when you're doing it, but you know that it's necessary. And this is one of those things where you just said, for my own mentality, I have to do this. I don't want to do it, but that's what growth is. You've learned that you need to rise above the wants and get to the needs. I'll let you, let's talk about this super quickly because it's probably not going to take too long.
Yeah, right. I know you are looking for some books, and every once in a while I am able to read or listen to books. And I finished the Lean Startup book. I mentioned in the showcase, or basically as a follow up on your latest video, or one of the latest videos. On the rapid prototyping. And I would recommend this Lean Startup book. It was lengthy at times, but I like the insights into measuring and how rapid prototyping can be led to some startup, lean startup, as they call them. I like the book, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And currently listening to the book mentioned there.
This is a book, not actual like.
Yeah, right. It's a collection of essays written in the form of a book.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to check some of this stuff out at some point, and I always felt like, oh, where am I going to find the time to do this and everything? So yeah, I've got to work in the time myself.
Do you know? Have you heard of Blinkist?
No. What is that?
They summarize books efficiently. Basically, write down a short summary of the books with the essentials on them. Yeah.
Is that free?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I was like, I would use that for a bunch of books. Well, thank you, Peter. This kind of concludes our session number 6. I really appreciate it, and thanks for being so thoughtful and writing out all the notes ahead of time. So, yeah.
Thank you for your time and for your insights. I really like talking to you, and reflecting on the last 2 months in this case. I really enjoy it.
Well, great. I do too, and great job with everything. It sounds like you're really on the right track here, so I'm glad.
Thank you.
All right, well, take care, Peter. Have a good night.
Have a nice day.
All right, everybody. Clap for Peter. I really should show chat when I do that. I've always said this, but it takes a lot of guts to be in a situation like this and be sharing your own personal woes or growth or anything with the world. I don't read chat during, but chat is usually not super active, so let me just scroll through and read it. Hey, Hardly Difficult. Welcome back. I know we were just chatting on YouTube. It's mentoring of career. Yeah, it is. Or at least that's what it's intended to be. Every once in a while, we talk about personal things, and a lot of times we start with the personal stuff. So I know this was at the beginning of the meeting that we just had. Yeah. And the Rami I was talking about, if you take a look at the mentoring command, so not that one. The schedule has, now I need to schedule with 2 people, but the schedule has all of the past meetings that we've done too. So if you're ever curious about like, oh man, Adam just mentioned a meeting. Well, actually, unfortunately, it's the only one I haven't put the video online for yet, but I'm going to at some point. So if you're interested, you could watch any of this series. It's all on a second, well, actually, I guess like a third YouTube channel at this point called Adam Mentors. And I don't put any work into editing the videos really. I just trim them and then put them online. So I figured it was too much effort for me to be like, in this session, we talk about whatever, because I would have to write a summary up. And actually, I thought about it'd be kind of a cool little project to work on where you take a video, you transcribe it, and then you use AI to summarize it, and then plop that into the YouTube description. I think that would be nice if I could automate that, but I just don't feel like spending time right now on that. Was it stated which city he lives in? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, I sometimes know this stuff, but I don't know if the mentees are comfortable with me sharing, so I try to just not share that. I can attest to the train comments. All right, did I miss anything else? Yeah. Yeah, so I like these sessions. I think I'm still a little torn because doing them live does not really add a lot of value for kind of anybody. And yet I guess it adds value for me because I don't need to like set up a private thing. And it also puts us in the mindset of like, this will be public because it is public right now. But I think audience interaction, like I said, is kind of dulled for that time and no one's really watching the YouTube video. So I'm going to end up, I said I'm going to do like 6 to 9 sessions. And that was our first session number 6 that we just did. So at some point, these series are going to end. I've got 3 going right now. And then I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. Did I know that? I'm not sure. You might have mentioned it. You know, people mention things over the many years I've been streaming. And sometimes I write stuff down. Typically, I just write down birthdays so I can wish people happy birthday. And then I got like a gigantic list of birthdays. And now I trimmed that list quite a lot. For me, I'd be so lazy, just amazed how he's kept up. I think it really is a personality thing. I think some people are career oriented or they're family oriented or something, and it's just like that's who they are and that's what they'll pursue. And then some of it is probably based on how you were raised or what values your family had. So generally, when it comes to mentoring, if someone accepted a role as a mentee, they're probably more growth oriented, or else why would they have sought out mentoring to begin with? Nothing oriented. I mean, that can't really be true. There's got to be something that you like focusing on. And if not, I mean, this is a skill you could build. A lot of people talk about just kind of motivation or even like attention span. And I think attention span is a little bit harder. But how do you get yourself to work on a side project or to do something or to learn something? And it's like, yeah, most people aren't just going to sit down and do that. You do need to convince yourself a little bit and remember why it's important. And then there's a lot of psychology behind it. Anyway, I have been streaming now for almost 4 hours and it is lunchtime. So I'm going to go get lunch. I'll be back after lunch and we'll continue working on the save system. There is a lot of work there and I think it'll probably extend beyond today, only because when I did this for anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to stop talking. We'll just come back to this after lunch. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for being here. I hope you like the mentoring session. I'll be back in about an hour. So yeah, hope to see you then. Take care. Bye, everybody.